Welcome to night 2 of the OPL semi-finals, where we're going to see Chiefs take on Sin Gaming. Hello everyone, I'm Jake Spawn-Tiberian. Joining me on the desk for tonight's semi-final matchup will be Max Atlas Anderson down the end and Matthew Fish-Stewart. I can never get the order right at the moment, and it's killing me.
It starts off pretty similar, you know?
But guys, we saw Legacy in pretty emphatic fashion take out the Divals last night. How was it watching that one from, I guess, the casting area? That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous game. And look, Legacy looking so incredibly on form heading into the grand final as well. Whoever wins here is going to have a tough shot trying to take them down.
They certainly are. And Legacy last night, they were phenomenal. That Graves in the top lane for Telly, I hope we get to see that again, but we probably won't.
I don't. That was borderline illegal.
Yeah, it certainly was. However, guys, as we bring off the bracket to you, as we mentioned last night, it was actually Legacy advancing to the grand finals. That will be on the 5th, whilst tonight we have Chiefs, who are your 2nd seed, versus Sin Gaming. Just want to explain something a little bit funny that happened. Chiefs have picked blue side for games 1, 3, and 5. Sin have picked red side for games 2 and 4 during the side selections. That means that we will actually have the Chiefs on blue side for all 5 games if we get that far, and Sin on red side for all 5 games if they are able to take it that far, and then we'll see who wins after all of that. So just if you see anything funny happening down the other end,
Why aren't they
is why.
switching?
Yeah, no switching at all. But guys, we will be actually tracking what you have to say on social media throughout tonight, as we were last night. A lot of fun was to have. So to kick off that conversation, here's Pastry Time to give us a little bit of an insight.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll be your social media guru for the evening. You guys were awesome last night, but tonight's been even more explosive out on Twitter. Don't forget your hashtags there. Chiefs were actually trending at one point in Australia, so if you guys want to get that CHF win hashtag right back up that you can. And of course, Sin fans, it's your time to answer back and try and get it happening. But you can see it's just been awesome. It seems like the Chiefs fans are very confident, but the Sin fans really want the upset. Of course, to stay in the conversation, no matter what, feel free to use the hashtag IamOPL. But guys, keep them coming. It's awesome to see you out there. We'll check in after the first game.
Thank you so much, Pastry. Of course, it's always good to be in on the conversation. It's even better if you get to go see these things live in person. But next best thing, however, is heading over to a Hoyt's viewing party for the 5th of April Grand Final. We will have Hoyt's, your local cinemas, putting on some viewing parties for you guys. It will, of course, be Legacy versus whoever is the winners of tonight. As you can see on your screen, viewing parties around Australia and New Zealand. We'll be putting that on, so you get down there, watch it with your friends, have an overall good time. I know that was something that Atlas, me and yourself used to do that quite a bit before we were shoutcasters.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the old viewing party thing. You know, make sure you can hang out with your friends, all that sort of action.
I like it. However, guys, let's jump into tonight's matchup. It is going to be Sin taking on the Chiefs. Of course, starting on the blue side of the rift, it will be the Chiefs Esports Club.
For every game.
This is a very interesting match. As we take a look at the lineups on your screen, it is actually Swiper, their top laner, has had a rocky season, I think it's fair to say, so far.
Yeah, he has. Of course, recently been on that poppy and actually dominating, but Swiper, he's always been a mainstay for the Chiefs, and we'll see whether he does hop back to some of his carry-style champions that we know he has up his sleeve.
I'd like to see some of those pocket picks come back as well, and he performed phenomenally on them, and Chiefs really look good when Swiper has a plan up in that top lane.
Yeah, certainly do. As you can actually see, a lot of the Chiefs members giggling on your screen. That is Samuel Spooks Broadley, their jungler. He calls himself the captain. I don't know if that's still the case now that Swiffer's back, but he's having a bit of a chuckle right now.
Yeah, he certainly is. The man has been playing incredibly well recently as well. I mean, this guy's got an incredibly deep champion pool. You look back past his last 5 games, I think a unique champion every single time, and happy to adapt on the Rift, which is so important.
And Simon Swiffer Piper Marcos, their mid laner, recently returned for a victory over Legacy. They've looked dominant since he's rejoined the lineup. He's hiding from the camera, a little bit shy.
And a little bit darker skinned as well, Spawn.
That's
the
what
man
happens
has got
when
a bit of sun.
Yeah, when you go on holiday, mate, you just chill out in the sun a little bit.
I don't understand this outside business.
No, neither do I. Derek Radio Track is on your screen. One thing I will say is I wanted to see if he takes the jacket off because the man's been hitting the gym.
He's lifting on and off the rift right
I know,
now.
you're actually a little bit disappointed, aren't you? Need the gun show. Need him to bring that one out. Of course, Rady's been playing incredibly well if we take this back to League of Legends. I think it's like 7, 1, and 8 on the Ashe in one of his most recent performances. 100% kill participation. The guy's on like a 15 KDA on that game. Like, ridiculous performance.
Yeah, and their support player, Bryce Jim Paul, one of the vocal leaders on and off the rift. He looks pretty calm. He is the LAN experience they brought in to try and get moments like this done.
He's a fantastic player as well. I love watching him play as Alisai. Such an aggressive support, knows exactly what to do at the right times as well. Like watching him play.
And of course, rounding out the Chiefs lineup is going to be their coach, Jish, who's also had a terrific season. Chiefs pick and ban phase, one of the most impressive in the league.
Yeah, their drafting is definitely looking incredibly powerful. And it's questions that we've actually raised on the other side of the Rift. Sin have looked a little bit rocky. Things have been a little bit interesting as far as where they've been putting their power on the Rift and how much they've been able to adapt to other teams, what they're picking up, especially last week, of course, losing 2-0 to the Chiefs.
I'm excited to see how they use this blue side strategy. They have all their games on that side. I'm really excited to see how their pick and ban phase goes because they definitely have planned for this.
Yeah, they certainly have. As we cross over to the other side of the Rift, guys, it is going to be Sin Gaming. We were actually able to catch up with Rogue and some other members of Sin and listen to what they what they thought about their season so far and how they feel heading into this semi-final.
This season is our season. There's no denying that. We will take the throne. Going to the game with Chiefs, we are the underdogs, but when haven't we been the underdogs? Even when we win, we're still the underdogs. We all had high hopes, and we didn't want to just be that regular team, that middle of the pack team that everyone just overlooked and no one even supported. And for some reason, people keep seeing us as the underdogs when we're obviously way up there. The thing about being the underdog is you never have pressure to perform. They say that before every game. We always say, if we lose, it's just any other game to everyone else, but if we win, then everyone just goes crazy, and it's like that every game.
As Sin, they are able to take the game off Chiefs, and they win the best of 3 series 2-1.
Everyone's always going to say Chiefs Legacy are the best and expect them top 2, but like, why isn't it? Why can't someone change that? We can be the best team in this region, we just have to practice, and we just have to keep going at it until we are the best. Chiefs, they were a lot more exploitable without Swiffer. Like, we often knew that even if they did get ahead, we still had the option to fall back on and just getting a pick on Cheese when he does something wrong. Swiffer is a lot less exploitable, but Chiefs do have their weaknesses, and we know how to play around those weaknesses already. It's just a matter of developing our skills and being able to play around them. Chiefs always have had a big ego. I mean, undeniably they should have big ego because they have been the big dominant team for a long time now, but they have to realize they're not that dominant team anymore. There are teams who are better than them. This isn't their time anymore. Everyone's always going to see Ejim as the favorite, as the better player, because he has proven himself. He has been around for a long time. He has been on the dominant team. Of course, people are going to respect him. I haven't got my chance to do that yet. This is my chance to do that, you know. By the end of this series, by the end of this year, I want people to know me as that dominant player, not Ejim. Ejim's always been a really successful player and everyone wants to be in his shoes, but it's pretty obvious just from the games that I'm definitely a better player mechanically. It's just a matter of, can I get into a situation where I can use those mechanics to beat him?
Wow, as you see Rogue on your screen, rookie player, first split, fighting words. But you know what? I'm actually going to give credit where credit's due. Probably backed it up throughout the entirety of the split.
Yeah, the man looks fantastic, especially in games that they win. Never is he below about 80% kill participation. This guy is like all over the Rift for Sin, sort of teaming up with Juves, helping him succeed in that sort of more supportive role. And Rogue's really stepped up this season.
He even mentioned in that video that he feels like a lot of people don't feel him, don't see him as a dominant player, but honestly, his performance this split, just as the rookie player, has already led me to believe that he's one of the most dominating supports in that bottom lane. Excited to watch him play in this match.
And I also like, you know, he says, you know, I kind of, he didn't say I look up to Ejim, but he's like, everyone wants to be in his shoes. You know what? I reckon I can talk smack as good as him as well. Let's fire some shots around.
I was
and
going to
able
say.
to get it done.
Yeah, he's trying to go after the sort of Rookie of the Split award and the Smack Talk award all at the same time. This guy's really putting in a challenge. And honestly, the man's mechanics have looked fantastic.
I want to talk about his fresh for a
forward.
second because, you know, he talked about mechanics. Like, that is just a pick that I want to see him go towards because it's such a dominant laner. If they do get standard lanes, that will be the gauntlet down to Ejim to be like, come at me, I'm going to beat you on what is a very good champion.
And you know what? Chiefs have a really strong bottom lane as well. We've got Radiant and Ejim there. If you can throw in a Thresh pick for Rogue and use that wisely to shut down this bottom lane against the Chiefs, it's going to be fantastic for Sin.
Yeah, it certainly is. But as we actually take a look at the rest of the Sins lineup, let's start in the top lane. It is going to be Chippies. See, big grin on his face. Another rookie has played a couple of times in the OPL beforehand, but mainly as a sub for the Direwolves.
Yep.
And, you know, this is going to be a big game for the man.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And the man has been moving on to carries as well. This guy, the last game that he played on that Gangplank, absolutely gigantic. And Chippies was a player that we were actually expecting a lot out of early on. Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you there. That's Jubes
Yeah.
on your screen, by the way, and he has not blinked so far. There it was. We got him. So, yeah, won that contest. But this is someone that we thought was once a weakness, now stepping up.
You know what?
Yeah.
I gave him a lot of flack actually at the start of this season, but you know what? He's proved me wrong. He's stepped up phenomenally throughout the later parts of the split, and he's playing really well now.
And that's like
Yeah.
kind of Jubes' personality in a nutshell. I actually bumped into him on the way to the bathroom. I was like, good luck. He was like, what? Sorry? Yep. No, you too. I was like, wow, I didn't even repeat myself. As Jason Rymeister Ryan on your screen, the Rymeister. He is so good at the moment.
Yeah,
Like,
this guy's the
so
linchpin
good.
for the team. It's absolutely incredible. When this guy gets ahead, it's like, give him an arm and he'll take your whole body. It's
And
that whole rule.
And they've got red side every game. They can focus on that too.
Yeah, and Cardred on your screen, he's 6'6", massive.
Yeah,
in
this
real
guy
life.
is going to be so important for Sin as well. Yes, not only is he incredibly tall.
I hadn't finished yet.
Yeah.
I was gonna move on to League of Legends. See you dive over the top. So he is the veteran.
He is.
What Ejim is to Chiefs is what Cardred is to his team. As you actually take a look at Rogue, he holds up his mouse pad.
So adorable.
Yeah, all right, we're going to
man.
get back to that one. But Rogue on your screen, let's talk about Cardred as Rogue because they're kind of the opposite of each other. Cardred, veteran status,
Yeah.
played on the Legacy team with Ejim, actually. That was their duo lane. So now with Rogue, a little bit of experience and inexperience, they are counting on him to carry that through.
Yeah, and I think this is really, really important because Rogue, all those raw mechanics, all that raw emotion there as well, but also you've got Cardred. He can try and calm him down. They're very, very close together, and we'll see whether Cardred is going to be able to utilize that experience to make sure that now that they're in a LAN environment, it's not going to affect them.
Yeah, it certainly will be the case, guys. We actually want to get another look at that mouse pad just for you guys. As you have a look at it, it's a picture of some cats.
And what is that? Is that an old... Okay,
Yeah.
the man has got some old gear as well. I mean, that definitely looks like he has... there's some love there, I think,
Yeah.
Spawn.
So actually, let's talk about their gear as a whole. Like, let's jump into the analysis now. So they use very, very strange gear. Chippy's actually plays on a laptop. He doesn't have a keyboard, Atlas.
Yeah.
So he has borrowed Carbon's 2014 keyboard, the Chiefs League keyboard, to bring into the office and just take him out with it.
Yeah, and look, if you're going to grab something that's going to have some sentimental value like that, you may as well get the one that was able to take down the Chiefs before. We'll see whether it's the keyboard that holds
they
the
call
keys.
it the Chief Slayer.
Looking to
Yeah.
add another notch into the
Yeah.
Chief Slayer, it seems.
Apparently, but
We'll
all right,
see.
let's dive into this because it is going to be Chiefs versus Sin. I actually think that although we've seen both ends of this matchup, we saw when Sin were dominant in their Super Week, the Cinderella story, we always go back to it. Then we saw kind of the Chiefs flip the table on them and just show that they're a class act. A lot of Vizier, a lot of Jin. What are we looking at in this matchup? What stands out to you as important?
I think the bottom lane is always going to be important. Of course, we've mentioned Rogue already, and I think not only is it important, as far as him being a phenomenal player and stepping up, but he's going to be key to winning this game at the same time. I think a lot of it revolves around that, trying to deal with Radier and how well he's playing at the moment.
For me, I'm not going to be looking too much at the lanes per se or the jungle. In fact, I'm going to be looking at the early game strategy from these two teams because I feel for Sin to take the game off the Chiefs, they need to create chaos in the early game, take the game to them early and win from a snowballing lead. Whereas Chiefs, they want to play more control Sin as much as possible, create picks from that, and eventually close out the game Chief style.
Well, we will see if they're going to be able to. However, guys, before we jump into game number one, do want to get your predictions on what will be this series. I think it's very close to call. So, Atlas, starting with you, who are you picking and why?
Well, I mean, we did recently see this matchup. Sin fell 0-2 to the Chiefs. I'm sticking with the Chiefs for this one. I do think that Sin, with how well they've done as far as boot camping and making sure that they can keep their practice up, I think they will be able to take a couple of games possibly. I think we could be going to 5 games tonight, but I still think that the Chiefs will be able to take it out.
And Fish?
If there's a team that can throw a spanner in the works, it's going to be Sin. I think they're going to be the ones that pick up this game against the Chiefs. I think that their chaos style of play, by getting Rymeister really far ahead and carrying the game from the very start, is going to upset the Chiefs and cause a lot of problems for them.
Okay, well, we will see if that's the case. Hung Deck so far, so I guess I'll throw a vote in there as well. I'm going with the Chiefs. So the reason I'm going with the Chiefs is I actually disagree with exactly what you just said. I think that if your game plan against the Chiefs is to get your mid laner ahead, sorry. But we will see if they're going to be able to do it because they've done it against some very good teams so far this year. So, guys, without further ado, let's throw it over to our casters to get us into game one.
Thank you very much. And what a way to start our second semi-final of the OPL playoffs. Should be a wild ride as we get ourselves into game one. My name is Julian Pastry Time Card. Joining me are Indiana Frosker in black and Zach Rusty Pie. Love to have you two here on the desk. Excited here for this semi-final. What are we looking for here moving into our first draft?
I think we can't look away from Rogue, and it's just plain and simple. And to me, to add on further to what the desk said, it's how he actually works with Juves and controls the early game. I'm going to say it's not making chaos, but getting Rymeister ahead, because sooner or later he's going to split push, and they need him to be able to 1v1.
Yeah, I thought it was so weird to bring up kind of a chaos theory in terms of Sin. I actually view both these teams as very controlled, very macro-oriented teams, and when Sin do pressure either that mid lane ahead, they do it in a very deliberate and engineered
Well,
way.
you can see the Sin boys there on your screen, very fired up. You can see Juves getting behind them. A young team, certainly. I think the Cinderella story is very fitting for the side, given that a lot of these players have actually never played on LAN.
Yeah.
So a lot of, Cardred and Juves, kind of the emotional sense of the team are going to have to see if they can rally their troops. Chiefs, of course, so much experience in the OPL. They look very cool, very calm. Be interesting to see if that manifests itself on the Rift at all.
It's almost maniacal how calm the Chiefs are. Like, it's unbelievable. They're playing at a LAN event. It's no surprises to see Sin with a bit of nerves. They say they're the underdogs, they have nothing to lose. I don't think that means anything when you're up against this Chiefs roster that are so ice cold. It's almost evil.
Well, we'll see how this happens as we do have the bans completed. Chiefs have banned Gangplank, Braum, and Trundle as their first three. Who has Sin gone for Callista, Lulu, and Poppy. Chiefs blue side though, first pick Sivir. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that was the thing that we had to talk about. Why did the Chiefs decide to take blue side every single time, and why did Sin choose to take red side? Well, on red side, you have the counter pick as picks are continuing to go out. They have a very strong mid laner. It makes sense that they want the counter pick from red side. But the Chiefs having that priority pick on the blue side, obviously it's important to them. And what's the champion? Sivir, and I expect it to be Sivir every time she's available.
And it feels like it's almost these two teams showing a lot of their styles already. First pick Sivir for the Chiefs, Alistar Gragas for Sin. Saw a lot of red side Ali Gragas yesterday in our first semi-final. I mean, they're two great champions together, but already you're seeing the differences between these teams.
Yeah, and I think to me this already says that Sin are going to lane swap. I think that having the Alistar with the Gragas is actually a strong 2v2, especially once the Alistar hits level 2. But what they are trying to do is actively avoid having an Alistar into a Sivir and anything lane, because the level 1 pressure would push them out.
Well, have to be careful because Rainier and Egypt very aggressive from the bottom half of the map. Azir, though, is going to get locked in for the Chiefs. They'll take the Maokai there as well. Not a lot of teams are willing to do this, but the Chiefs, again, even on blue side, will just give away their solo lanes. Here they are.
Exactly, and that's like the big thing is they don't care about the counter pick. You're playing a control mage style, so I mean Azir has pretty much every good matchup imaginable. Maybe a Vygar counter in there, but he's going to be fine either way. So Chiefs, very, very clear game plan.
They're not showing their top laner either here from Sin, and of course they already know who it's up against, being that Maokai, so perhaps their wildcard champion option is going to be in the top lane. LeBlanc is actually a very big personal favorite of mine. The way that I saw it is if he was going to split push, it's not easy to do against a Maokai. It doesn't matter what champion you are, you have a very hard time killing him, whereas LeBlanc doesn't necessarily want to split, actually just wants to group with the team and work around some kind of siege strategy with numbers there.
Yep, they've got that LeBlanc Lucian, so plenty of good damage in that mid game. We'll see if Sin can get Rymeister in particular ahead on his LeBlanc and start picking members of the Chiefs off, but the Chiefs, solid drafts as always. Nautilus Kindred will actually finish their draft here, so Supportalus going to make a return.
Yeah, very curious. Supportalus is definitely strong. It's been coined as like the lesser Thresh, but also tankier instead. So positives and negatives to both. That would not surprise me to see these two actually want standard lanes and try and find them. Because that pressure, like you can't push a Nautilus out.
On the other side though, we'll see what Sing want to finish off this draft with. Don't think it's going to be Garen, but I appreciate it, Rogue. 30 seconds are going to tick by. We'll see just what Sing want for presumably their top lane. There's some flexibility in the picks they have, but have to think they're going to give Chippies the counter pick here. They have the full draft of the Chiefs now. Very solid, of course. Sivir Azir, really good 2 carries. Kendrick can help out there as well. No obvious weaknesses, but Chippies, they are going to do it. Actually locks in Aurelia.
I was waiting for this. I didn't know when it was going to get brought out, but you know what? Better late than never on the side of Sin. Chippies has been, for quite an extended period of time, coined as the Aurelia guy in the OPL, who's never really had an opportunity to show it off, and saving it for last pick. You know, it kind of revealed they had something up their sleeve. I didn't think it'd be this, though.
But the other thing that we also have to address is as the champions are being swapped around, Chippy's picking the Aurelia into what we suspected would be the Maokai top, but it looks like it's going to be Maokai's support.
You never know. So you have to wait till 20 seconds is the hard cutoff, but even with Ignite, Maokai support could be mixing it up here. Oh my god, Chiefs.
No, this is totally fine. It's excellent that I'm on this game too, because OMG from the LPL used to run Maokai support multiple times. Works pretty much like, I was going to say Lissandra support, but then I realized that was also an LPL game and not
kind of like Nautilus.
Yeah.
In that it's guaranteed lockdown. And guess what? The Chiefs have both.
Guaranteed CC, good wave clear. He's got great base stats, so he's not an item-dependent champion.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Nice.
I love it. I mean, really creative drafting for both teams. You had to think that Sin did have a pick prepared there with the Aurelia. Chippies is a very good Aurelia player, and Swiper himself, I believe, has even talked up the man before. But I love it. They're like, red side drafting, let's get a counter pick. Chief's like, no, I tricked you. Had a flex the whole time.
It was a flex all along. Yeah. I actually think it was very clever from the Chiefs. And honestly, like, it's a LeBlanc, so in terms of lockdown, Maokai is one of the few champions that's guaranteed to be able to hit you. Doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter how clever you get and how many shadows you go back to. He's still going to find you. Like, it's really good for lockdown. And I mean, ganking pressure as well. You can stack saplings at level 1, and that makes me excited.
Well, let's see, but these are some great comps to kick off game number 1. Don't forget, of course, to get out there on Twitter and have your say. Hashtag CHF win for the Chiefs or hashtag Sin win. Still the best hashtag remaining in the OPL. Actually, second best. Hashtag IMOPL is probably the best, but as far as team win tags go, Sin win. Thank you for the rhyming. Makes it much easier.
Yeah, it actually makes more sense than Chef win.
It does.
You know?
Chef win? What?
Chef, doesn't it?
Chef one.
Well, we'll see the Chiefs there. They'll be ready here for game 1. Cool as always. Sin boys, we'll see if they can get fired up on a lot of different comfort picks here. I wonder if the Maokai support's going to throw them off at all, but you have to think. But both teams coming in looking good here. Everyone's gone on boot camps here in top 4. People have really prepared for their matches. Sin know they've got effectively nothing to lose, but that doesn't mean they don't want to come away with the win here.
Yeah.
Big thing also is, again, we suspect that Sin will look for a lane swap, although maybe not as clear-cut this time around after the Aurelia pick. But Maokai in a lane swap scenario versus a 2v2, you can dodge a lot of that. Hey, it's weird, it's Maokai, it's new.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, he's not in the lane.
Yeah.
What are these saplings? What are they doing here? I actually agree. I think the Chiefs might be looking to potentially lane swap themselves, match it, if not best it.
Yep.
Whereas Sin, they have the availability, I will say, with a Lucian in the lane to kind of hide an Alistar's weakness until level 2. Always standing in the front and being, I guess, aggressively stanced. Cardred should be able to do his part. And no doubt we're seeing that now.
Well, we are going to get the swap. Swiffer spotted by that ward put down, but stayed out of vision for a while. This, of course, will be our standard 1v1 lane, but one to watch, certainly, as Rhymemaster, as always, is going to look to get aggressive. You can see just going in straight away, get some good auto attacks down, but Swiffer happy to answer back. Sand Soldier really not in position to help out.
And the thing that I find actually very curious is if you think about Sin's win conditions previously, it was also always the level 2 gank from Juves. In a lane swap scenario, which Sin have been picking up a lot more recently, especially in their big Cinderella week for Super Week, they were initiating lane swaps, which isolates the mid lane, so Rhymeister isn't getting that same support, although they would then just gank it with 4 people.
Yeah, instead of ganking with just Juves, they actually add more people to that, which makes it much more potent, but it has to be better timed. And it's harder to execute.
Your Keystone Masteries there. Nothing really sticking out.
The Alistar Keystone Mastery, though, not taking the Wind Speaker's Blessing.
The Rogue special.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no real reason besides that it reduces damage. I actually would like to coin it as a scaling spell, but they both effectively scale, right? One just gives AoE resistances. One's like, oh, percent value to the person around me.
I'm actually really curious how this is going to adjust his maxing in his levels on Alistar. Typically, when you take the Wind Speaker's Blessing, you max E first because you're looking for the lower cooldown, so you can spam those AoE resistances off of the Mastery. When you take this one, typically you do a Q max first, so you can get the CDR off of your Pulverize and start CCing more often.
Well played trade there by Swiffer in the mid lane. Rhymemaster, though, still going to get in aggressive. Is level 3 already going to try and look for something, but Swiffer just gets locked up just in range for that last Q. Looks like Corrupting Potion Chud is being chugged by Rye. Everything should be okay.
I think Ramos is actually a little bit out-traded at the moment. Be careful, he's out of Corrupting Potions.
Well, top lane is a push is starting, which is what we expected. Did have that lane swap, of course, as Juves is going to look mid here onto Swiffer. Swiffer is going to get flashed on. Rye's going to go straight in for it. That's the Ignite lockdown. Swiffer in a bit of trouble. Last order is not enough, I don't think.
Oh,
and he's Kindred as well. Spooks is going to flash his way forward. Does have the double loss. Picks himself up first blood.
Yeah, right place, right time. Spooks with the counter gank. And I guess a level advantage to boot. This is just a very smart strategy and start from the Chiefs, recognizing where Sin will go and besting them.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is the blueprint that Sin have. You know the level 2 gank is going to come out even in the lane swap scenario, and Spooks is right where he needed to be.
Oh, wow. People actually leaving that lane. Does leave this turret a little healthier than maybe Sing would like it to be. Cardred and Chippy's are going to try and push it down, but Swiper's here. He's level 3 with the Riptide there ready to go. Chippy's actually taking way too much damage, and Cardred, he actually can't finish his turret. The Chiefs need to push down more, and Swiper's taking damage, but that tower's safe.
That's massive.
That's such a big amount of gold that's now going to go missing. The big question to me is, how does Sin react? Because currently Chippies is farming with Cardred. Means that Lucian has to leave, but there is no way that Chippies is winning this without a teleport. And Spooks is already there to pressure.
Well, Rymeister, of course, going to sit in this lane. Did get first blooded, but returns with a Doran's Ring and a Fairy Charm. So looking okay for now, but Rogue and Jude's going to come down onto Spooks. They're going to try and go in for the 4-man. Chippies cleans that one up.
Yes, Sin, they get one back for the team, and that is how they reacted, plain and simple. Instead of just letting Chiefs have the advantage, they rotate down with an emphasis. They pick up an early trade back somewhat to their favor. The real issue is elsewhere, though.
Yeah, it was effectively just gathering the support. Either you're going to make a play there and you're going to find a pick, or you're at least going to reset the wave or push down the tower as 4. So, like you said, great response from Sin as opposed to just dealing with the top wave.
But it's still thwarted because Chiefs have actually actively responded, Ejim and Raider. I will say, Maokai, plenty of wave clear if it really comes down to it. So the added bonus of diffusing the lane swap with a turret advantage favors Chiefs.
Well, we'll see what happens next as we have reset these lanes somewhat. Bottom tower still up though, so Chiefs will have a tower advantage leading into this one and do have 1,000 gold up as a result of mostly that.
Oh, I'm disappointed, Ejim. There's no Frost Queen's claim. The amount of money that you make with the sapling toss, man.
Well, aggression from Rymeister continuing. Swiffer, though, happy to trade. Knows the matchup well. Does have Null Magic Mantle up already. So should be Abyssal first here for the Azir. We'll see what Rymeister opts for. He's a pretty aggressive player. So he does like to favor that Merlin, Nomicon, and the like.
But that's the thing about Azir and his current state in the meta is the Abyssal First really doesn't hurt him as much as it hurts other champions in terms of like their damage output, just because he's going to be mostly sustained damage. So he's fine to go double Dorans into an Abyssal, pick up the Nashroots, and then into the Rylai's.
I guess whilst like a LeBlanc is still a burst champion, the Abyssal is actually still very good for her because of the ranges that she uses her kit.
I'm thinking more like Lux.
Whoa.
Like Lux into an Abyssal First, you're donezo.
Well, great trade there from Rymeister, but Swiffer again answering. Just stands his ground every time and eats the burst to the face. Ry does not have enough damage, especially without Ignite, to really threaten just yet.
Well, that's the thing though, right? Like, he has to trade Swiffer, otherwise he just loses lane. And the only way he can trade is by getting MR and standing still.
Ooh, action in the bottom lane though. Rogue looking for Ejim now as Cartridge also going to get a little low. He's going to move forward in onto Raider as the TP's coming in for Sin. Chippies comes in, gets a stun down onto the Maokai. Sort of out of CC. Great 3-man pop from Ejim. Good flash there as well. And everybody's safe on Chiefs.
They actually all get out perfectly fine. Of course, 4 summoners burnt on the side of the Chiefs in response to the teleport. I'm not going to say it's ideal. And Swiffer says, what are you doing here?
The safety of Azir.
Ooh.
No flash, unfortunately, there for Juve, so maybe would have connected with a gank, but Swiffer's actually still pretty healthy. Getting a little low on mana, so Juve's actually going to give Rymeister an opportunity to go back. Swiffer's going to have to deal with this next wave, but by all accounts, everything should be fine. Mid lane looking nice and even, and some good map movement early from both teams.
And again, this is the priority of the Chiefs to pick up Azir so early, and just a control mage in general. You don't need to worry about a counter pick like this. Like, Swiffer's down in CS, yes, but he looks fine in the matchup. He just thwarted that gank. They got the first blood when Spooks made the counter gank on Rymeister going aggressive, and you effectively just neutralize the lane by taking a wave, clearing mid laner. I'd like to see more teams actually do this.
Well, it's been working out for the Chiefs so far, particularly since Swiffer has been back. But let's have a check-in with some of the other lanes now. BF Swords completed for both these AD carries. Radiant does have a double longsword lead, so some combat stats coming in there for that lane. And top lane, Chippy's actually with a serrated Dirk. So a pretty aggressive start to his item build. Swiper, of course, going for that tank build. Does have that Balmy Cinder first, but we talked about Chippy's earlier. A decent TP to almost secure a kill just before. We'll see what we can get done here now that he's kind of back in the 1v1 matchup.
Yeah, at the least he's farming, so that's always going to be big for Aurelia, right? The first blood, the CS advantage. You would say favors him now in this lane, and having the direct, I guess, armor penetration aspect with his damage against what is health stacking, he still does a fair chunk of damage to Swiper if there is no shield available.
Well, Ejim, you can see getting a bit aggressive on the old Maokai. Radiant, nice spell shield.
Yeah, very
so
hard
does
to
that
do.
Q, but here comes Rogue. He's looking for the pole. The spell shield's down. The Kong's going to come out as well. But the Chiefs will turn around and try and trade. Rogue, though, shakes that all off. Popping that E. Bond of Stone helping out as well. But he's level 6 now for the Sivir. I think he's getting real aggressive, as expected, I think, in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's something that we'll have to expect, of course. Oh, hang on.
Spook's actually mid lane. I think Rymeister saw him, but he's going to have to flash out of it. Spooks can't chase. Red buff not going to reapply again. Swiffer did get low, but he did take heal into that mid lane. Not really under any threat. Rymeister just having to burn the flash there.
Just trying to help Swiffer out in this lane by resetting the wave. I expect that Swiffer will go back after this.
After a bit of deeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, no surprises, honestly. It's just it's the standard mid laner having a bad time special. Like, yes, Rymeister is pressuring. He's gone straight for the Blasting Wand approach instead of going for anything further. Oh, hello.
Spooks
Now he's
flashes
dead.
in. Right, yeah, that's not the place to be. Chiefs with a nice ward, and Spooks cleans up a sitter.
Was he trying to just clear the pink ward Spooks and Rymeister didn't want him to? And there was already 3 hits on that one. It felt like greediness from Rymeister. He didn't have his flash, came back to bite him.
110%.
Yeah.
Well, slip up there does cost him a kill, and Spooks, he was going for that Devourer, almost there with double dagger ready, so we'll see if he can start getting stacking early on the Kindred. Juvs, though, on the other side of the jungle now, is going to hang out and find a wolf camp for himself. Looks like he's trying to apply a little bit more pressure for Chippies, who's pushed up pretty far, but Chippies is going to go back and pick up Caulfields anyway, as Spooks joins into the bottom lane to start a 3-man push.
Spook's having some excellent pathing so far in the first 10 minutes of this game. Really impressed with his jungle.
Yeah, he tried to defend it. That was very greedy. I mean, Spooks barely had enough mana. I feel like there's an opportunity that Rymeister, if the chain's connected, would have been fine, but it was just very well done from Spooks, and too much, needless from Rymeister. Trying to be, I guess, overly cute.
Well,
Wasn't necessary.
Tower stays up in bottom lane, so Sin will protect that bottom outer. Devourer now picked up though for Spook, so he's gone back and got himself his first bit of extra power. Rymeister's also back after his visit to the Underworld. Does have himself the components of that Abyssal, so still that Fairy Charm hanging out for a bit of extra mana regen. Curious to see where he does go with it, but you can see Abyssal first coming in for both mid laners, as Swiffer has actually completed his already. So starting to get towards those early item spikes. Looks like mid laners are the first to get a major item completed.
Desperate attempt to freeze. Sin. I think they want to slow the pace of the game down, honestly, besides this middle lane. I feel like they're having a very bad time against Spooks.
Yeah, but that's the scary thing, though. By slowing it down, you just effectively create more time and space for Kindred to farm up her Devour, as well as her passive. So I agree that I think they want to slow it down, but Chiefs, A, doing a good job controlling the tempo and pace of the game as we see them take down the bottom tier tower, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword.
Well, Drew's going to try and make a play once more. He does have his flash ready. Rymeister double the swords in there. Good ulti though from Swiffer to disengage, but a great op from Juves. Doesn't quite pop him out from under the turret. He'll pop there. Rymeister's low, and he is going to go down. Swiper's here also. Swiffer
He's alive.
awfully low, but not dead.
Yeah, the Chiefs just seem to have an answer at every single avenue and direction that Sin take. They've grouped up bottom. They got the turret. And Rymeister effectively gives them this middle lane pressure that they're now about to place down. The question's not about taking it, it's about how much damage can they do. Actually, Kadra didn't respond.
Yeah, Chippy's working top lane still. In fact, Sin's side lanes are occupied. Wave clear those there from Gragas. Rogue helping out as well. So just some damage to the turret. Don't take it, but you can see the Chiefs' game plan again. Just play solid, play calm, and slowly but surely get ahead.
But having control in this mid lane as well as for the jungle, especially the 2v2 Kindred Azir versus Gragas LeBlanc, the Chiefs have the pick of any objective that they want on the map. They have complete control of the bottom lane, so they can easily swing it into a dragon. If they want to prioritize Rift Herald and try to translate that into the mid lane because Rymeister is so far down, or even continue to push up into second tier tower on top lane, so many different directions.
Well, Spook's going to farm out the jungle for now. Does have a stack on that top side Scuttle Crab, so wants to get that Devourer going, but looks like he's going to clear this bottom side, and with Chiefs pathing here, Swiper still with that TP. Could be a play for that dragon that you mentioned, especially now that Kadra has gone back and got himself like Caulfields with a pair of brown boots. Radiant on the other side finished that Essence Reaver already. If a fight were to break out, you have to favor the Chiefs at this point.
I absolutely agree. I think that the Chiefs actually have quite a large advantage at the moment. Dragon should be exactly where they're going towards. I mean, the Rift Herald should be traded potentially from Sin because, as you said, I don't think they can fight. Doesn't seem like they're putting any emphasis on it, though, even with a mark there.
Yeah, Rymeister's kind of standing in the back, though. He's looking for someone unsuspecting to walk by.
Grouping for a pick. Raid's not a bad one, but the spell shield's there. Chain's not going to connect. Chiefs are going to take that first dragon for themselves. That's a good boost of power.
And the thing that I was going to say is his target selection actually isn't the best, because he's effectively either going to hit Nautilus, Maokai, Lamb's Respite, or a spell shield.
And you got the spell shield.
Bit awkward for LeBlanc, perhaps.
Just, there's no good places there.
And that's Chiefs' strong drafting there coming out as they do take that dragon for themselves. Going to get a bit greedier as Spooks moves himself over to that top half of the map. Looking to take that Scuttle Crab away. Rift Herald also available. So the Chiefs, if they want, they can make a big play for both the mages early on.
So to me, the one big advantage that Sin have at the moment is Chippies, because he's gone for the Ghostblade route. He's actually finished a completed item, opposed to components of said item. So if Chippies can get going, They can really get something done, perhaps, around the Nautilus, at least for now.
No, I completely agree, but so far we've opened up kind of into splits, or Sin special, the 1-3-1. They've moved their duo lane into the mid lane as kicking Rymeister kind of down into these side lanes to push forward, but Rymeister just so far behind, has to be so cautious that anytime Chiefs go missing in Fog of War, he has to respond with his team.
Well, he's also the LeBlanc, so in terms of splitting, it's not all that ideal compared to his Diana that he would usually play, which means he should be, I guess, preferencing being with his team where possible and just clearing the side waves once Chiefs push it to get it back in their direction. It's more about wave control now.
I also think best case scenario, like you said, the wave control, but also teaming up with Juves and Rogue on their warding journeys to see if he can form a pick around Fog of War.
Well, certainly not a demotion for Rai, because he's going to get gifted a lot of extra farm, I suppose, in that side lane. Even without the Diana, it's still a Sen special. So looks like they're sticking to the plan for now. Chiefs, though, again, still playing controlled as Chippies has actually had a lot of free time to farm up here. Huge CS lead there in that top half of the map with the Ghostblade. Not quite brave enough to take the tower by himself.
He needs Merc Treads before he gets, I guess, into team fights. At the moment, his build is split push. He's effectively filling what Rymeister is not going to be doing this game by trying to kill someone in a side lane. Actually looking towards Chippies in this game if you're a Sin fan. He's the one that you need to carry.
Well, he's on a big pick for himself. Certainly a champion he knows very well. The Chiefs, though, continue to play the map and now take that Rift Tower. A little delayed on the take, but had to reset, go spend some gold, get those waves pushing in the right directions, and it's just complete control of the river in the first 16 minutes of the game. This Kindred has so many stacks.
And the big question is where are they going to utilize it, which looks like it's going to be the mid lane. There was a bit, I was going to say almost an untimely back, but Cardru did manage to cancel his back, so Lucian burning the coaling there to try to preserve this wave as much as he can.
Yeah, half of it, which is important.
Can Minion protected, though? Oh, he's dead.
It's not a Baron, remember.
It's true.
Weak.
Oh, Rymeister actually hooked up there by Swiper. Follow in. He's going to move in for the Maokai Spook, trying to zone the rest of the map, but the ulti's going to get burnt on the LeBlanc as well. Damage being chased down, but Ejim's quite low. Radier pops on the hunt to try and get in there. Sin get low, but no one's falling. Chiefs, though, they just want the turret.
And once again, to me, this is the power of Maokai into the LeBlanc, because out of position trying to flank is what Sin were looking to do. Well, guess who's out of position when you're trying to flank against the Maokai Nautilus?
And that was the big thing. That was the tank top laner and the support.
Well, grab onto Rogue. Actually, they're going to try and get some damage down. Swiper pretty tanky as Rogue actually popped the ultimate to try and stay alive. The Chiefs will not get a second turret for themselves, but here's Chippy's in that bottom side. Finishes off that bottom outer and working on a tier 2.
He's actually a bit...
Plans in full effect, but he's trying hard for this one, and now he has to bail.
Yeah, the second they lose vision of the Chiefs or even see them starting to posture down towards that bottom lane, Chippies has to respect he can't kill more than one person in a duel right now. As nice as the Sheen is for added bonus.
And the big thing also is that the Chiefs didn't have to utilize their teleport, so they still retain their summoner spell and don't lose anything but pick up the free tower. Don't have to
How
respond to
confident
Chippy's
they
pressure.
are as well. They're sending Radair down to deal with Chippies. Without knowledge that he's recalled, it's just blind assumptions that are always going to be accurate. The Chiefs, they're on the ball right now in this first game.
Certainly are, and you can tell that by the gold lead. 2,500 gold, but it feels like the overall control of the map has certainly been there for the Chiefs. Chippies, though, has finished those Merc Treads that you mentioned. We actually have a pair on Juves as well, which makes sense given all the CC, absolutely. But Chippies is starting to get there as far as power goes in the 1v1. He's not there just yet, but he's getting stronger and stronger. Sin actually going to group top and try a push here.
Some of the assumption that this Aurelia is not going Trinity Force with that Sheen. It's actually going to be the Iceborne Gauntlet build, and trying to stack up as many tanky items as
Do you think
can.
he'll go Spirit Visage with it?
I would imagine it's Iceborne Gauntlet, Spirit Visage with something like the Maw of Malmortius and Asterix Gauge.
Yeah, trying to maximize out of his W.
Yeah.
Sounds almost like a Phyto mode, if you will.
No, it's brilliant. I mean, think about how much magic damage he's across from.
Well, I like it here. Bit more of a Bruiser Aurelia style. Chippies, of course. I certainly default to him for Aurelia advice, so his build I'm going to trust in here in this particular game. Dragon up in a minute. Chiefs, of course, looking for the neutrals as always. The Spook's actually going to get an assist there on that. And 2 more stacks for himself. Radier, very greedy AD carry. Does take the gold for himself, but Chiefs not too miffed, I imagine. They're going to move back, transfer vision over to this bottom half of the map, and set up for this next dragon.
They've also got a really big wave posture on the bottom side, so if they make a pick on this triangle vision or after this dragon fight, if it's timed correctly, they can very easily rotate this into the bottom tier tower.
Yeah, and on the point of vision that we're currently looking at, Chiefs with 4 pink wards around the river area and 1 in their inventory could very easily consolidate that towards starting the dragon up. And it is effectively triangle, but like look at what Sin has in comparison to what the Chiefs have. around that Dragon area. Very easy focus for the Chiefs to take.
Well, Rhymaster busy top side, but Swiper's going to meet him there. There is a discrepancy in the summoner spells, of course. Swiper can TP down. Rhymaster cannot. And it's not the easiest cancel in the world for LeBlanc.
TP coming in top, though.
All right, going to try and make a play here. By the looks of things, Chippy's actually the one to join in. They actually just want the tower. They're going to see Dragon to the Chiefs and try and take a few more structures down. Sin do need to open up the map, but it's going to cost them his Dragon.
That's not actually a bad trade. For how far behind Sin are, the fact that you can just trade an objective. I mean, obviously you should have had that tower since the beginning, since Chief have had the advantage there, but best case scenario for Sin.
But guess why it's a bad trade? Because someone just got sated from the Dragon being taken. So accelerated is this 2-1 and 0 Kindred. And whilst the trade's good because they're getting that gold back, to be honest, that was a tower that should have been down a while ago.
Yep, no, completely agree. But I just think out of your scenarios, like, you know we're going to lose the Dragon fight. We need to take something.
Well, they do take something, opting not to fight, which I guess is smart. Swiffer, though, is going to go back, and there's a pretty big structure in the mid lane that maybe needs to be looked at. Cardred is going to move aggressively forward and try and cancel that recall. Swiffer's like, I seriously want to go back. Try and get back as far as he can. Actually takes a ward out from the side. I think it might have been a blue trinket. But Azir, I like to call him the gatekeeper. It's like a lot of these wave clear mid laners. He's really good at stopping turrets from being taken. And look, 20 minutes in, that turret is so healthy.
Azir is broken. That's my stance on this champion right now. I think he's way too good at everything. I think he's the best mid laner to be played. And I think he should be played or priority picked almost every game.
It's just like, it's amazing because he was bug fixed. And everyone's like, hang on, no, he's good again.
It's not like he was bad.
No, exactly.
We can actually execute it consistently on him.
Quality of life. That's all he needed. Is Juves and Spooks, another duel here in the jungle. This time it's the Chiefs' bottom side. Juves going to get aggressive with the belly bot, but Spooks, he's not backing down. Just gets huge damage down with the smite onto Juves.
He was effectively trying to bait the ultimate as
Oh, right. 1-6. Great chain there. Does get the pick. Sin. This is actually what they need to try and push down this turret. 5v4. Time for a power play.
And there's the LeBlanc. The kill threat is absolutely there. And let's talk about the negatives of Maokai in that respect. Is that if you press the W onto LeBlanc and it's actually a numbers disadvantage, you get baited in and die. It's not just about the pick. There is the opposite to that.
It's also not that tanky. He's support, of course. And Sin is going to take this outer turret. This is huge for them as far as geographical advantages go. They needed to open up the map for their composition. They've now done so as the turrets actually equalize 22 minutes into the game, 3 apiece. As Sin starting to fire back.
We are absolutely seeing the discrepancy on how these teams want to execute the map right now. So Raydir and Ejim are in control of the 2v2 in the bottom lane. Cardred, in fact, has been a glorified mid laner for the past 5 or so minutes, which is unlocking Sin in their particular style of play that they want to be, and that is having Rogue roam around with Juves, and then Rymeister and Chippy is even working together to an extent this time around. We're looking at effectively the Aurelia trying to carry against the Sivir and the Azir, with LeBlanc here and there doing ridiculous amounts of damage because you can never stop a LeBlanc from putting in work.
Well, you can see that Phage is actually the choice there for Chippies. So as far as that top laner goes, it is a bit more of a carry build. Trinity Force, it looks like, will be the item here.
Disappointed.
Rhymaster's also finished that Morello Nomicon as well. A quick check-in with the gold. Chief's still leading in a lot of these lanes, although Chippies does have a big lead there in top side. You can see Sin have sort of equalized a lot of the gold. Chiefs are still ahead by about 1,600, but it does feel very even 23 minutes into this one. And it's only going to take a few picks like that for Sin to open it up. And for the Chiefs, it's just going to be what they've always done. Play around the map effectively, get those big objectives. Baron's up now as well, so it's really important for the teams to make strong decisions moving into this mid-game.
No, and that's the big thing. The Chiefs have always been an objective-oriented team, so the question is, which objective is it going to be? It seems to be this bottom-tier tower, utilizing the vision that they've already had there and kind of refreshing as it goes down.
Good hook. Grab onto Juves actually could signal something, but Rogue's going to go back in for it. Rady with a great spell shield, though. He's going to force that ultimate out of the Alistar. Pretty much just to cleanse off the CC. Rogue can't really stay now as the Chiefs siege pretty potent with this particular composition. Rise actually pulling himself back down, but the Chiefs' damage will start on this turret.
They're just so tanky. They have to
grab
fight
onto
it.
Chippy's actually kind of a mini dive.
Oh, wow.
Huge pole there comes in as Juves takes out Egypt. Lambs despite this going to keep the rest of the Chiefs alive as Swiffer hits a huge scoop and takes out Juves. The Chiefs turn that all the way around and a 1-for-1 trade under that tier 2.
The ability of a Kindred and Azir to control a team fight is phenomenal. If that was a best case scenario for Chiefs, there was no turret and there was no save point for Sin to hide under, because Azir cleaned them all outside of Kindred's respite and almost cost Sin the tower and the team fight.
Going to cost him the tower now because Sin cannot defend it with the health bars they have.
Chippies, though, on the other side will manage to trade 1-for-1. So again, best case scenario for Sin, the team fight didn't go their way.
Yeah, this is massive. And Ejim, you have to remember he's the support.
A
So
little
going
bit too
down,
little, too late.
no big deal, yeah. So Swiffer actually bops them all on the corner edge of the turret, which is horrible because skill shots will always hit in that area. Unfortunately for Chiefs, all of the summoners were up for Sin and they get to flash out to safety.
Well, it's just a turret trade there, pretty much on opposite sides of the map. Chippy's burned his TP, did get the trade that we saw, so still 4 apiece there on turrets. Rhymeister actually tried to get aggressive onto Swiffer as well, but couldn't quite get the pick.
The burn TP can be really punishing if the Chiefs play it correctly because, again, where the towers were taken, the top side of the map, that's where Baron's being played versus the bottom side of the map. Chiefs have complete control. They can get this big wave that Rhymeister is clearing out now, get it pushing towards them. Chippies or someone like Rye will have to respond to it. If there's a TP disadvantage, that's a very easy Baron play or a pick for the Chiefs.
I'm not going to lie. As much as I agree with you, I haven't seen Swiper use it yet.
He's walking everywhere.
Yeah,
he's getting his cardio in,
he's
let me tell
actually
you.
putting in overtime with those little legs that Nautilus has bopping around. I think like even Dragon right now, the ideal scenario is that Swiper stays top and pushes it out, forces someone to go to it before they just immediately do the Dragon.
They'll prioritize the Dragon?
I feel like they're just going to start it on cooldown.
Well, it's time for a team fight. Let me tell you, Sin 2 out and Power Spikes in a lot of different places. Actually get the ulti out of Sivir. That's a big cooldown.
Look, he's walking.
For a particular team fight. And yeah, Swiper.
Kind of bounces.
Strengthening those legs.
Oh, he's, you know.
Floating in down the river towards the Dragon.
It's like a jaunt.
Boing.
Could be problems though. Swiper gets a hook down. Rogue taking damage on the front line. So Knockup's going to land in onto Rye, but Rogue pops the ulti and looks to try and make a play, but the team's not there.
Disengage.
Good ult from Juice to try and disengage, but Rogue, I think, caught now as the ulti is going to wear off. Damage is still there, but they don't quite have enough. There it is as Raid is able to take him out. 5v4 now with Baron available.
Yeah, it takes a while, but they do pick up the kill. Baron, potentially the threat here from the Chiefs. I think they just want to fight around it. I wouldn't wager they outright do this.
It's because Chippies is in the bottom.
He has no TP.
Yeah, I mean, they have to try and get a pick. Raider actually hits the damage on the other side.
Juice we trust.
Oh, Carter here as
no.
well. Rhymeister trying to get a pick, but he's been caught out. Swiffer going to take him out. Uses the ulti to make sure he goes down. But Juice, he's going in. Going to try and find the American with the left respite. He's actually going to turn things around. Heal everywhere. That's a double. Beautiful play by Chiefs to get Baron.
That was immaculate from the Chiefs, but this is the issue. Sin, they were not wanting to team fight. They just wanted to steal the Baron away. They actually lose a base turret for it.
That said, because they don't lose the inhibitor, it's not the worst case scenario. If they had lost the inhibitor, it might as well have neutralized the Baron from the Chiefs. So bit of a bright spot there. And it kind of seems like the emphasis of this game that Sin, they keep making these just slightly subpar trades to the Chiefs.
Swiper not even teleporting bottom.
That guy's never going to teleport.
Just not sure where his teleport
He
button
should
is
just take
right now.
Ignite right now.
The Chiefs, so this is the point where even though it's like a 1.6k, it doesn't look like a massive lead. They've got so much time and power behind that Baron buff. Look how quickly Swiffer gets rid of turrets.
Yeah, that was pretty much solo as well. Ejim behind him just in case, but see what damage they can do with the Baron buff as the Chiefs get themselves a bit more gold.
This champion.
It's pretty good.
Knock up. No, not anymore. Displacement, slow. Super massive range. Sustained damage.
And again, I just wanted to give an extra bit of credit to Spooks because that was so clever.
Yeah.
Now, using Lance Respite actually affecting the Baron buff
All organic
to
matter.
stop a Smite steal
Doesn't
is amazing.
save Sion. It does save Sion. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
It didn't save the undead champions.
Karthus.
Yeah. Like, nope. I mean, can't save take Karthus, so it kind of makes sense. As Chiefs still going to assault this bottom side, but Sin maybe looking for a scuffle here. They know they have to fight pretty much to stop this situation. The Chiefs are more than happy to play the siege game.
They just can't afford to lose the bases. Oh,
Oh,
Rhymeister's
that's
caught.
big trouble. Crits are down, and Raiders going to take him out. Culling there for Kadra, but Chiefs is going to charge in. Again, they had to make a play, but the Chiefs punish and now push down this bottom inhib.
And Rusty, you've been saying it all game, but that's effectively Maokai into LeBlanc. Immediately distortions in, eats the Twisted Advance. The ultimate is popped for Maokai. It effectively acts as an AoE exhaust, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, the only way that works for Rhymeister is if he brings the tree back into the base, but it's very hard to react on time. And it also gives a free target for Raider to hit. Instantly kills him, basically. Unfortunate stuff for Sin, but it's also counterplayed by the Chiefs.
Good smite there from Juves, actually takes out the cannon, but Chiefs still with plenty of minions left here. They're going to zone out Chippies with the depth charge. and take out that next turret. Now a second inhib looking to fall here, Sin. Without Rhymeister, can't really fight.
Chippy's
Chippy's
caught.
going to get grabbed up, though. He has to Blade Surge off to a minion. Does get to safety, but Egypt goes straight in onto Kadra. Drew's going to try and turn it around. Great ulti there to maybe even
Rhymeister's
things up.
back.
And here comes Ryan. Look at him for the damage. Radiant so low, but Azir
dead.
just shuts him down. Chippy's going to go down as
Good
well.
hook.
As there's the hook in onto Kadra. Swiffer gets himself a triple kill. And the Chiefs going to try and close this out.
The Chiefs with 3 members dead from Sin and 40 seconds on their death timers. They've still got the Baron buff, and they just have to get through Rogue and Juves, and this could be the first game.
Oh, big ult though from Swiffer as Rogue tries to make a play. Lamp just by Pop. Juice can't really do anything caught in amongst the ulti. He's going to get some CC down, but Spooks is going to take him out, and now it's just Rogue trying to defend 1v4. Looks like he's not going to be able to do it. Swiffer's going to surf it as Rogue. Oh, tries to get him into the fountain and doesn't quite line it up. The Chiefs, though, they will take game number 1.
Chiefs looking very impressive in this first game from the second they started their drafting phase to the second they killed the Nexus. A lot of credit to this team.
It just looks, look at that. There's no overwhelming joy. I mean, yes, it's game 1 in a best-of-5 series, but it feels like just another day in the office.
And that's sort of what we've thought about for Chiefs here. Very calm, very experienced
Nice
team.
shorts. Swiper on point right now.
Well, Sin did actually have some good fights there in that game. I think we did get to see the 2 distinct styles of the team really come out. It's exactly what we wanted. It's sort of a fun underdog matchup that's also very polarizing. We had a lot of fun there. Sin, they did try and fight because that's what they do.
Yeah. And to me, we've found very 2 clear-cut things that put the Chiefs a step ahead. It wasn't even the Maokai that was picked into the LeBlanc. It was Azir and it was Sivir. Those 2 champions did way too much damage as the only 2 carries on the team
And
effectively.
the reach of both of those champions is absurd. We've always talked about how Sivir, she's able to bounce back so she can hit the front line, crit the back line. Azir effectively does the exact same thing. He's got incredible reach on an AoE, I don't even know what to call it, stabby thing.
I know you like Azir, but we're going to get a little bit more info. We're going to pop ourselves back to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Pastry Timer. Game 1 victory for the Chiefs. Sin fighting back very hard during the mid game, but I think we need to talk about the early game because to me, that was a lot of mis-execution. Not today.
Speaking of.
Yeah, mis-execution, and that's something that Sin can't afford to do when they pick those lanes.
And I don't think it necessarily even goes back to the early game. It needs to go back further. The draft, I just don't understand how the Chiefs managed to get Azir, Kindred, and Sivir in the same draft. It's just ludicrous. Like, we were mentioning this, right? Chiefs draft seems very, very crisp. Sin need to understand exactly what they want because they'll first pick Sivir every single time if they have to. It looked like they didn't even have any bans.
Draft was a bit questionable coming from Sin, but once again, Chiefs perfect with their drafting phase. But that early game was worrying, you could say, for Sin coming into this game, especially because Chiefs played it perfectly. They were able to lane swap, they were able to get the turret very nice and easy. But then you allowed the top laner to teleport into the bottom lane. You got a counter gank in the mid lane very early on. And the mid laner that is very hyped up for Sin, that you normally want to get the snowball going for the team as well, wasn't able to do just that. It was very poor execution from Sin.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I think that the other person we have to take a look at is Egypt, because in my opinion, the Maokai counter pick as a support means that Rhymeister can no longer pick LeBlanc. I think that you either have to ban the champion or LeBlanc just, you just scrub it out of the playbook because they're not even giving, like, Aurelia versus Maokai, fantastic lane matchup for Aurelia, like on point, great counter picking. They didn't respect the support pick, I feel, and it just shuts down everything Rhymeister wants to do during that mid game.
Yeah, exactly. You just press W and it's like, hi, I'm in the back line.
His
No
ulti
worries.
as well is like the AoE double distorts that come out. It's like having a exhaust on LeBlanc every time. I feel it just cripples the pick.
I like the way it synergizes with Sivir as well, because a lot of teams, when you're going up against a LeBlanc, if the LeBlanc uses her W to jump in and poke one of your backline carries, Sivir just presses R, their entire team runs at you, and no longer, this LeBlanc can no longer escape. Maokai being able to lock her down is incredibly effective. And we thought we might have seen as well, LeBlanc jump backwards, bring the Maokai into the team underneath a turret, but Chiefs was so far ahead that never mattered, and Egypt was just on point, locking him down every single time before he could jump back.
And I feel like we do give the bottom half of the map of the Chiefs a lot of credit, so I want to actually visit the top half of the map just for a little bit. Swiper and Spooks, to me, were kind of the 2 catalysts that kicked this game off. Swiper saving that turret, Spooks early counter gang. Is there, like, what are we looking at of Chippies and Juice to be able to shut these 2 members down a little bit more effectively?
Well, I'm looking at Juves to try and really get into that mid lane and affect it early on. Of course, it looks like we're back to the best friends club of Chiefs, of Swiffer and Spooks. Like, This is ludicrous. This is like the two people that we've seen sort of playing together for an incredibly long period of time, just back in their comfort zone.
For me, it was just simply right idea, poor execution from Sin, whereas Chiefs, they executed it phenomenally.
Okay, well, we'll see if execution does turn around for Sin Gaming because they have game number 2 coming up around the corner. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in 3.5. Welcome back to OPL Semi-Final 2. So for the OPL Legend match between Chiefs and Sin. Right now, Chiefs are 1-0 up. Each team looking to try and book their date with Destiny with Legacy in the final. And speaking of which, guys, we actually have a viewing party for you to attend. Our good friends over at Hoyts are putting on a viewing party at local cinemas in your area. So make sure you get out with your friends, get along to the cinema, watch it on the big screen, be able to interact with other OPL fans and watch Legacy take on the winner of the Chiefs versus Sin. But getting back into this series, do want to touch on Chippies in the top lane because I'm going to actually be a little bit negative here and say that build was very bad. I'm going to say borderline.
We had the discussion,
Very
right?
bad.
He goes back, he grabs the serrated Dirk, and I look over and I say, hey, Spawn, I reckon that should be a more of Malmortius, am I right? Getting very excited that I may actually have a suggestion correct. And I said, oh, but could it be a Ghostblade? And Spawn just says, if that's a Ghostblade, they've lost the game. And it was a Ghostblade.
You know, I like the build going into one-on-one matchup where you can always constantly split push. Sin's comp can't do that.
Well, yeah, and the problem with that is that they're against a Sivir, a Maokai, and a Zir, and a Nautilus. So if you can figure out how to split push against that comp, more power to you. However, guys, we want to hear from you at home. So make sure you're using those hashtags and get onto social media. And here with an update is pastry time.
Thank you very much. And what a fun game one there as both teams really showing their stuff. The Chief fans, of course, still rallying behind their team, thinking it is going to be their 3-0 own business as usual. So Sin fans, make sure you're staying loud and don't forget to use your respective hashtag. Hashtag CHF win for the Chiefs or hashtag Sin win for Sin. Let's have a quick look at what you guys are saying. Oh my God, Maokai. Hashtag Chiefs win devs. Love it there. Maokai Support, very creative there from eGym. So always good to see what the games will bring in the future. But don't forget, of course, to use the hashtag IamOPL to keep up with all the conversation on Twitter. Thank you guys for your tweets. Keep them coming. Now back to the desk.
I love to see the fact that Sin are so high on that list right now. I've been hanging out with the Sin guys all day. Lucky to be able to catch up with their management, their coaching staff, everything like that. Just going to throw it out there. I'm amazed at the organization. I think that their head is exactly in the right place. And, you know, heading into game 2, I think that they do have what it takes to bounce back.
Yeah, super professional, and they've got their mind on the prize. And the thing is that's fantastic, that is fantastic about having a support staff like that is exactly that. It's the support. It's the fact that now they go back, they reset, they understand exactly how to treat this game. And I'm excited to see what they can do in game number 2 because there's some obvious things that they can change.
I like the way Sin approach their games. They're very loud about their games. They try to get in the minds of their opponents as well. But as soon as the game ends, they're very humble in defeat and victory. I really, really like the team. They're a solid bunch of people.
Okay, so now I want to focus on what we want them to do game 2. So we've already said, you know, they had 3 winning lanes. Early game didn't go early. Is it the case of draft similarly and execute better? Like, what are we looking at right now?
Don't ban Kalista. Don't ban her. There's no point. It's silly. Just don't ban that. Ban Azir. Ban Sivir. Do whatever you want. Or if they're going to first pick Sivir, then pick away the Kindred, pick away the Azir, and then make sure that, you know, one of these golden carries, and they're golden for a reason, that means first place. And often they're coming first. Sivir and Azir, good champions. Don't let them be together. There it is.
I'm just going to simply think that I think Sin needs to tighten up their early game and their draft in general. I think if they do these 2 things, then they can focus on how to take the Chiefs down next.
Okay, and on the Chiefs side, like, oh, sorry, Atlas, cut you off there.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I want Chippies to play Aurelia again as well. I mean, we did badmouth his build there just a little bit, but build aside, the man plays the champion very, very well in the laning phase, and I would like to see it one more time.
He certainly does. As a very big fan of Aurelia, I love Chippies, so I do hope he gets back onto it. However, guys, we will be able to find out because game 2 of Sin versus Chiefs is right now, so here's Pastry time to take us onto the Rift.
Thank you very much. And thankfully, I'm not going to go on this journey alone. I do have 2 wonderful color casters with me to help us through the rest of the series. Indiana Frostgrow in black and Zach Rusty Pie Chiefs. Whoa. Really good game 1 there. Sin, again, we can see where their strengths are, but we talk about how cool and collected the Chiefs look. Seemed like the same thing there in first game.
That's a scary thing to me. Every time I look at the Chiefs, they're just way too calm, and it almost irks me.
Yeah.
Where are the emotions? Like, I know if they actually manage to get the 3rd win, they'll be very happy about it. They'll get excited, but trust me, we can hear them yelling in this game. They are still amped.
Yep, certainly still fired up, but we heard a lot from the analyst desk there. We'll see what changes come into effect here for the second game as we are now into Champ Select. Chiefs going to ban Gangplank and Braum to start things off, so keeping things relatively similar. Kalista, Lulu banned for Sin, of course, and do not forget, it's not a bug. These teams are going to be on the same side of the Rift. Blue for Chiefs, red for Sin the entire series long, because that's the sides they wanted. Trundle banned there for Chiefs, Poppy banned for Sin, and Froskuins flailing wildly. I know you guys can't see, but
They're the exact same bands that we had in the game. Effectively, this could be the exact same draft phase. Again, these teams will never change sides. So if we see Alistar Gragas here, the question now is, do Sin, okay, there's an adaptation, do Sin have a plan? There we go. Okay.
All right.
Answered
so
for
just
me.
to recap,
Yes, they do.
Sivir first pick for Chiefs. Exactly what we expect from the Chiefs. I can't imagine
There was
they don't
flailing
first pick
because
it.
I was like, but you didn't even ban any of the problem
Well,
champions.
they take them away instead. Azir and Kindred are the selections for Sin, it seems like. So we'll see what the Chiefs answer back with. Once again, teams drafting very quickly. So it feels like, especially with sides determined already, team, analyst, everyone's got plans here. They already know what they want to do.
And as far as I'm concerned, Azir is like the S+ version of a LeBlanc, who's like an A tier maybe. And like, not to say LeBlanc's bad, but Maokai's a direct counter. You try and go on the Azir, it's just like, take my wall. You know, get away from me.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Italy is the S tier Kindred.
Yes.
So the fact that Spook's got his hand on that champion, whereas Juves is playing Kindred just to deny it.
Well, we'll see what he can do on the Kindred, of course. Very different from the Gragas. But I'd be curious to see what he can put in work with. Italy, Alistar, though, were the picks for Chiefs, so kind of continuing the trend to deny picks away. Thresh, though, for Rogue is nice as they pick that up in their second overall rotation. And Lucian again for Cardred. Much different bottom lane this time around. You'd think they might be able to take it 2v2. So if they do look for those standard lanes, Rogue can show off some of those mechanics. He's a very good Thresh player.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. You know what picking Thresh says to me is that Rogue's now comfortable coming into this second game. And yeah, he's a nervous player. He's got Cardred to back him up. The air of confidence that Cardred should be able to give him would definitely help. And now that you've got the first game jitters out, straight to the best champion that he has.
Wow.
Zed and Nautilus actually going to be finished off here. So once again, we're going to have to play and see where these... No, okay, Champion's actually making some sense here. But Zed into Azir. As we sort of reset the matchup. Very bold as there's the Echo out of Sin.
So we saw Echo yesterday go into the top lane?
Lane?
Top lane, because we call it the pseudo Poppy.
It is. Poor man's Poppy.
Yeah, Bruiser. Although, is he going to swap it? Are we going to have... There we go.
No, it's okay.
We already had a Maokai support. I didn't know how many different directions we were going. He's Bruiser. He gets relatively tanky. He has great chase potential, good mobility. And so just think of that. I can't ever get away from Poppy. Well, you can never get away from Echo either.
Yeah, absolutely. Sticky, and that's the best way to describe him. Sin's composition as well. Very strong 5-man. There's zone controls as well. So Lamb's Despite able to save people in the backline. Cardred as well being a low-ranged AD carry. Sitting with Kindred, actually being able to just blow out bullets everywhere that isn't inside it. Should be very effective in saying that. Chiefs, they've got the Zed into the Azir as well. Laning phase is a bit difficult at 6.
The scary thing, though, is that the Chiefs have a huge ability to split push. Anytime Zed comes into a composition, it automatically opens up the 1-3-1.
Can you split push into Echo who stacks armor?
If he stacks armor and he gets ahead. But I do think that there's definitely a lot more room on Sin's composition to be abused by a split pusher than Chief's composition in game 1, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. I just look at Zed and say he's not going to be split pushing this game. I think plain and simple, Echo just uses the R key if you use yours. And there's actual complete diffusal of split pushing.
Yep. Echo counters assassins typically.
Exactly. So there's actually no necessity for Chiefs to want to split push. I actually think they will just either 1-3-1 or they'll 5-man.
All right, so the other half of this, we'll get into it in a second. Here are team comps here for game number 2. Don't forget, of course, those hashtags. Hashtag CHF win for the Chiefs. Hashtag Sin win if you think they can answer back for a game 2 and make things real interesting in this best of 5. And, of course, that hashtag IamOPL for all your general conversational needs out there in the Twitterverse. We've loved featuring a lot of your tweets on air. Please keep them coming. Use those hashtags. Get the teams back trending to the top of Twitter where they belong. But you can see both teams looking very focused as they move into game number 2. And here we are out onto Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, we've made it onto the second game, pastry time, and a lot of changes this time around. So with change comes questions. And the first question is, how will Juves and Rymeister go as what is, I'm going to define the ultimate BM, and that is picking what the enemy played beforehand and trying to win with it.
Well, they didn't win game 1.
Even
so
if it's out of necessity.
It's usually better when you win game 1 and style on them with their comp, but
Rymeister's styling on Swiffer right
still
now.
definitely a strong pick here for Sin.
Pretty sick dance battle going on. Yeah, Swiffer's like, you
pretty
don't
sure-
miss if you don't
I'm
try.
pretty sure that
Yeah,
Q was
exactly.
intentionally back. They're having a bit of fun. Super queuing the Sand Soldier. Unfortunately, that one doesn't work. Spook's actually here as well, but I think started trap. So probably not going to chuck a cheeky spear. Right, just going to hang back. Looks like these lane assignments haven't quite been sorted for Sin in their side lanes, though, because everyone's grouped around mid.
Something I want to touch on is Spook's performance last game, which was phenomenal on the Kindred. I really like seeing him on the Nidalee. I want to see him be just as aggressive as he was. I've actually been very critical of Spooks. Not that I don't think he's a good jungler. He's a phenomenal jungler. I've been very vocal that I think Carbon is the best jungler in the OPL, though. And the thing is Spooks is just a little bit too conservative for me most of the time. His laners usually win, so there's no reason to take high risk, high reward.
Gotcha.
Surprise!
Your jungle invade has been foiled, Sin. Not that Raided wants to do anything. He just loses health on the crop. Nice.
Guarding their Gromp, I suppose, but successful. Oh, it does mean we have a 2v2 in the top side of the map, so we are going to get those standard lanes. We'll see if Kadra and Rogue can play into what should be the more aggressive bottom lane, but never count out Radiant and EGM, especially at level 2.
You know what's more aggressive in bottom lane is Rogue's Keystone Masteries. Without fail.
Oh, yes.
He goes Thunderlord's Decree on Thresh, and he has Bond of Stone when he plays Alistar. He's a very unique support, but it's a lot of damage, and it means the 2v2 effectively gives extra trading.
It's effectively prioritizing his trading ability versus supplying his team.
Yeah.
Whoa. Things getting rough as Swiffer in that mid lane, though. I do like Fervor versus Warlord's Bloodlust in that 2v2 as well, so you can see the thought process of Sin's bottom lane. But you can see Rai has burnt through a couple of potions already here for Swiffer. Azir, just such a good champion in so many different ways. See if Rymeister can really stick it to Swiffer, who's on a melee champion. You get the theory of Zed into Azir, but it's going to be a rough few first levels.
It's always rough for
until,
Zed.
Yeah, 6 is basically when Zed's like, I actually have kill threat now. You be careful. Realistically, you're looking at first buys, I would say, for Swiffer until things change, or if the Nidalee, who's actually right now top lane, can get something done mid.
Ejim lining something up. There's the flash in. Finds Cardred there. Oh, great hook though for Rogue, but Cardred's still a little too far out. Does have the flash, does have the heal, but he can't get anywhere good. First blood does go to Nidalee.
Yeah, early and massive first blood given to Spooks once again, who can use that advantage around the map. I think we already touched on the Keystone Master. His Chiefs are looking to sustain in their lane with what they have, so actually putting that onto Nidalee was massive and very smart from these guys. Rogue was level 2, didn't have Lantern. Easy first kill.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off the back of that, typically she itemizes into the jungle item to place wards, so like you said, it directly impacts her other lanes as we now see Spooks walking through the mid lane.
Good visit there from Spooks. Again, making sure Rymeister knows that I am around you. I can potentially pressure you. You can see the Carbon actually going to weigh in on the match. Kindred versus Nidalee. Are they trying to have fun out there? Amateurs. Hashtag I am OPL. Tim, of course, waiting in that grand final. So I'm sure he's kicking back and watching eagerly this particular semi-final.
He always has the greatest Twitter profile pics.
Oh, yeah.
When he was just the tree, though, I loved the tree.
Spot on.
Bring back the tree. Free the tree. There you go. That's a new hashtag you guys can use.
That's the right word, though, this time around, Carbon. I think they are definitely still having fun, just in their own way, because it's kill champs, not camps. I know that's your strategy, Carbon, that you've adopted from Juves, but these guys like camps.
Good shadow from Swiffer there in the mid lane, trying to play around Rymeister a little bit right. Has enough soldiers to put up and be very annoying. Swiffer's actually out of potions, so I can't imagine he's going to stay too much longer unless Spooks does pop his head back into the lane again, which it looks like he's going to try and do.
I think this will be his last wave, actually.
Problems bottom lane potentially.
He's
Ejim going to knock
bot.
him up, but here's Rogue as well. Spooks also down in to try and get something happening. Chippy's low. Speed does land. They're going to go in for it as Rady is able to get that last auto and take the kill. Tower dive still available. They're going to zone Sin off this Rogue. Oh, no. Good flash though out of that headbutt. Spooks can't chase. The Chiefs are looking to take this outer.
Sin try and disengage, but Chippies is already dead. And the Chiefs, they accelerate the map further as pressure mid.
Yeah, Rymeister looking for a good flash there from Swiffer. Rymeister didn't feel like he could dive after already using his summoner.
I actually think Rymeister expected that he had Ignite almost as a reactive summoner spell usage there. Ignite probably was the kill.
Well, exhaust this time, so no dice. Swiffer actually going to get his back in, but will lose some pressure on this turret. Goes back and gets himself that serrated Dirk. So it looks like Ghostblade first for Zed. Pretty standard. But he does have a pink ward as well. Rymeister now going to complete his first back. And we'll see what he wants to do with his early itemization. How aggressive is he feeling?
Something that I want to touch on, though, I know we're talking about itemization, but we're kind of in the exact same scenario that we were the first game. First blood going over to Spooks, who's going to impact the map with that. And then likewise, the Chiefs get a free tower advantage, and there's no response from Sen.
Just a good dive, really. And good pressure there from the jungler. To group up and take that bottom tower, which did have a boatload of CS denied away from it.
That was weird for Juves.
Radio's now going to go back. Yeah, Juves ducking into the jungle. Now top side, but I think there might have been a ward in Chief's jungle. Not
So
too
this
sure.
is a case of better late than never, again, from Sin. They've actually grouped up for that top lane turret is 4, which is why Juves is hanging around. But he is falling very far behind, even in experience. Spooks has been level 5 for quite some time. No exhaust for Rymeister.
Yes, Swiffer actually going to go in for it. Good damage there from the death mark. The Ignite's been used as well. Swiffer needs a little bit more damage, but almost goes down on the other end. Maybe going to force the Azir out here. Double Doran's really helping, especially with that cloth armor as well.
Yeah, it's actually very smart itemization from Rymeister. The second you use your exhaust against the Zed, you realize that you're not in a position to fight him. Swiffer on the flip side, knowing that he can fight, tries to get it done against a level down Azir, but not to be.
Well, Invade repelled in the top side as well, as that tower take did not go well for Sin in top side. Spooks and Juves are having a battle over the Raptor. Juves going to win this time around, but a ward in there is going to bust that passive immediately. He will clear it. You can see Ejim playing nice and aggressive. Doesn't quite have his flash back up yet, but the Chiefs taking even more turrets.
And it doesn't necessarily
Juves
matter. They're skirmishing. I was going to say, it doesn't necessarily matter that he lost the Raptors because he was able to zone off Kindred, but Juves did get in front of Spooks. Now we have this weird pincer.
Ooh, Spooks actually a little bit of an aggressive flank here. Rogue going to maybe try and get the play happening for the Chiefs into defense. Spooks will live this time and now group back with the team. Going to try and take this turret. Again, Sin started this push in topside, but they might end it with another outer turret dead.
Yeah, and that's the big issue. Sin show aggression. Oh,
Good
hang
hook
on.
there. Chippies, no ulti, no mana, no hope there as Radier. He's able to take him out. That's the easy double there for Siva. A turret and a champion.
And Sin, once again in this early game, it actually breaks towards mid after a slow start. And once the rotation is made, honestly, Chiefs just start to look so much more in control. Sin implode.
And we see the priority of getting EGM on a champion like Alistar. Time after time again, hitting these amazing pulverizes.
Well, good pressure there from Chiefs, but not able to quite take that tier 2 turret out. We'll see what Sin want to do now.
Rift Herald.
Rift Herald is an option here for Chiefs. They are going to recall, though.
They can reset map and they can either look towards Dragon or they can look towards Rift Herald. It kind of depends on how they're feeling around the mid lane if they want to try to apply that into the mid lane. Diving Azir sometimes can be very scary. But if you have an Alistar...
as well, though, to be fair. So if anyone's nearby, it's pretty hard to dive right. I think Dragon is the obvious approach. I think it's what they should go towards.
Lure them into a 5v5 or take the objective for free.
And then get a pick and then go mid.
Yep.
And don't forget, deny the Kindred, because there's some juicy stacks waiting there for Juves. He doesn't quite have the Devourer online yet. Does have 2 daggers. Tracker's Knife going to help for some extra vision around the objectives, but those 7 stacks that he could potentially pick up, and a mark with the Scuttle Crab there as well. Going to go to waste perhaps. He's going to start on that Scuttle Crab though. Chiefs not in a hurry just yet to do anything. And to be honest, that's going to be a pretty common look for the Chiefs in this series. They're never in a hurry. Everything's very planned and calculated out.
No, they don't really need to be in a hurry. That's the thing. They know that they've got the late game. Sin are the ones that feel the pressure on them to perform. And being out-rotated around the map is what just comes to bite them in the end. This particular draft as well, there are very few avenues where Rymeister is going to be split pushing once again. And whilst the Azir is a good pick on Rai, it's also good to take away from Swiffer. It limits strategies that Sin have.
Well, they are going to pressure down this turret. It's just Swiffer right now with the wave clear, but does a decent job with his Shadow and Shuriken. Spook's also on the other side. Going to look in for a spear, but doesn't connect it. Swiffer a little low on health, but Sin not hard committing really to that push. The rest of the Chiefs here to respond. And now the counter push starts.
Yeah, they've actually got knowledge of where Swiper is here, Sin, so they've rotated upwards, which also means the Chiefs know where they are, which is why they randomly started to stance towards that mid lane. Pressure them, bring them back to the turret, and the second the Chiefs see 3 or 4 people from Sin at the turret, they can start the Dragon up, even just start it now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Radier also creating space on the bottom side to force someone to respond. Makes this so easy to take. But again, the question, do they then deep invade and place down vision, or do they immediately run into the mid lane, and can Sin rotate quickly enough to stave them off?
Well, Chiefs, 4 men strong, take that Dragon out very easily. That's the first one for themselves here in this particular game. Nice and early at the 10-minute mark. Looks like Recall's coming in though. Swiffer going to have to defend on his own, but the rest of Sin not really around. And looks like they are going to recall. Items not quite finished yet for the Siva.
Got him.
Oh, I think Raid's waiting for gold. No, he's hanging out. Having some fun.
No, they're going top to respond to chippies.
Yeah, I feel like at this stage with the item advantage that they'll start to get, and that's all they're really waiting for is completed items, and then they are effectively ahead. Just be damage control. Stop Sin from getting anything. Try and maintain the lead that they have, and then the relative lead that you gain by having completed items is massive, as Chippies is in trouble.
Adorable by Spooks here. It's actually a 3-man gank. The spear wall lands. CC into the wall there. Ulti maybe not going to save Chippies this time. He probably has to burn it soon, but he's just going to get chased down here. Raidier's going to flash for it. Chippies will flash away, but Raidier's still there. A good slow's great, but the Boomerang Blade's better, as that's a kill now in bottom side. Swiper 2v1ing Rogue and Cardred. Does eat the exhaust, but Swiper pretty much won the end of that trade.
Yeah, Swiper actually just won a 1v2, whereas on the flip side, Chippies is losing that particular trade. And once again, this is just lane assignment. This is decision making. Everything that the Chiefs are doing is in control of this game.
I feel like they should. I feel like they need to rotate mid. I'm like watching where the Chiefs are going on the map right now, as we're going to see the replay here, and just the power of Nautilus.
But look at levels. Swiper's level 8.
4 to 6.
Rogue and Cardred are 2 levels ahead collectively,
Yep.
which is not enough to take him down.
Certainly not, as Radier does get the Rift out for himself. Chiefs able to take that objective out. Recall's coming in, so no push being started just yet.
Take them, complete their itemization.
But it seems like mid lane, spin the buzz lane here for Frostgurn, so I imagine they'll look there. And Swiffer now finally going to go back as well. It does have some gold to spend also.
Oh, this bottom lane, though, from Sin is just such a big concern. We already touched on the levels, but look at the level discrepancy between bot laners. Even EGM is 6.
Did he purchase a dagger as well as a crit cloak?
Yes. As in just then? Hit the
Yes.
dagger before, I think. He's had a random dagger.
Okay.
Oh, get it.
My
Get
guess
it,
is,
Boomerang
you know,
Blade.
some little additional pushing power.
No, I get it. I just didn't know if he like went back. He's like, I could get my ass kicked.
Swift dropping, man, all about it as ulti pop there by Juves. The Spook tries to get aggressive right. Doesn't quite connect with the scoop there into the wall, but Spook going to get chased down and taken out as he grabs his first kill.
Yeah, Sin, once again, it hits around the 10-minute mark, and the proactivity starts to come back for them. This time around, they actually target mid with all of the outers remaining for Chiefs. Sin, you would hope they have an avenue to attack, but they can't break it. They just cannot break Chiefs.
It's the brilliance of running Sivir alongside Zed as well. The big issue is by running an assassin in the mid lane like Zed. Yes, you have wave clear, but it's not particularly safe wave clear. So if your mid laner is ever out of position or goes down, it's very easy to just run down the lane and take towers for free. Whereas if you're trying to take or siege against Sin, Rai has to be dead. But by using him in tandem with Sivir, especially how the Chiefs have now manipulated their duo lane into the mid lane, never expose yourself like that.
Swiffer does have a Ghost Blade, so Chippy's might be feeling a little unsafe in the 1v1, but Iceborne Gauntlet on the way, plus that Balmy Cinder means Tanky Echo pretty safe from any sort of danger. Pressure, though, is being created. Rift Child, I think, has worn off for Radier. Oh, no, it hasn't. Still got a little bit left to go. But not going to get too much damage done. Once again, Azir really good at protecting turrets.
It's also a Zonya's rush as well from Rymeister, so he's actually not doing a whole lot of damage. Doesn't have the attack speed from a Stinger. He's, in fact, rushing the active, and that's very curious thing to me because, yeah, you definitely need it against the Zed. Like, it makes a lot of sense. You can even cancel a Nautilus ultimate with it if you time it well enough.
So if he gets discovered, damage onto Ryder. Oh my god, he goes in onto Juves. Going to try and take him out 1v1. Juves does not have lamps to spite back. That's going to be a kill as Ejim's going to try and take out the threat. Rogue will flash himself to safety. But a huge 1v3 jungle expedition there for Swiffer.
But this is what we were talking about. If this Zed ever got ahead, the split push and the pick potential is massive, and Echo is so far behind as the dive commences.
Good hook there as well. Cardinal going to get ulted up by the Nautilus. CC not quite there to follow, but the spears are very threatening. The Chiefs going to try and take this turret down. Chippies is here to respond. Minions are running out on this front side, but Double AD here should make this turret relatively trivial to take down. Chiefs, good damage done there.
Man,
they're not
so
done.
much sustain. Alistar and Nidalee. This should definitely be their turret. The question is, where do they go from here afterwards?
I think they just reset the map, dragon spawning in 1 minute 20 seconds, lay down some triangle vision and pick up the blue buff, and then just walk back to dragon.
Even the blue, though, it's just absolute control.
Yep.
I think there's no other way to explain it. The domination in the second game.
And it's weird too, right? Because it doesn't look very flashy. You know, they are up a decent chunk of gold, almost 5k here at 15 minutes in. But again, it's very calm, very, in some ways, standard league. They're just playing the map.
Yes.
They know that Sin, hey,
That's exactly
we know you
it.
want to fight us, so we're just going to, you know, not fight you unless we know we have a big enough lead. Chiefs are starting to get to that point. And Sin, at some point, have to respond with their fighting around these objectives.
It's the question about why you're fighting versus... So this is the biggest difference. And this is what's cool about the OPL as a scene right now is you have teams like Direwolves, like Legacy, who are so good at fighting and just being so mechanically oppressive. And then you teams like Sin and Chiefs who try to just play the map. And it's the difference of why are we fighting and only fighting for a cause versus fighting because that's the only way you know how to win.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Chiefs winning as a macro style, playing the map, is actually what Sin do to win the map. So obviously, if you can actually find a lead by beating someone at their own game, then you're doing it very well.
Well, looks like Chiefs after a pretty good start to their series. Looking solid here in game 2 as Swiper could be in a spot of bother. Rymeister heal, good. Ulti actually going to push him out, but Swiper now going to get slowed down. He's going to try and turn around. He has to tie up a little bit of time here, but not too tanky. No ulti. I'm probably going to go down here. Rymeister could get himself another kill. They are going to have to burn the exhaust. Swiper annoying, but does finally fall.
I mean, eventually the mammoth top laner of the Chiefs goes down. It gives so much time to Chiefs on the flip side. They could opt into the dragon. They don't want to have to go for the dragon, though, because the turrets are the more juicy objective.
Yeah, and even if they secure this tower, they get the wave and that much more control of the bottom side of the map. So I agree. The dragon would have been instantly free, but taking the risk versus reward of if we secure this tower, it's the free objective anyway.
And falling back now to the safe objective. It should be very trivial for Sivir and Nidalee to do. Zed, in fact, not even going to join in.
But to be fair, like, Rymeister is trying to trade, right? So they got the pick top lane. Naturally, he'll continue to push down the objective. Standard Sin, rather. Getting the dragon doesn't give you gold, getting the tower does. So they claw back a little bit closer to even.
Yeah, still 2,500 gold behind or so.
Which isn't a lot.
Busy clearing things out. No, it's not. And again, this was very similar of game 1.
Yeah.
The gold lead actually never got massively out of control. Yeah, sure, 2k ahead the first 10, 15 minutes of the game isn't bad.
To me, though, like, the big thing for Sin this time around isn't that Chippies is fed. It's the Chippies is always going to be split pushing against Swiffer, right? And he just needs to get armor and just needs to stay alive. Effectively just needs to not die. Rymeister is 2-0 on this Azir. He's now got his attack speed and his Zhonya's Hourglass. This is a scaling Azir that has the money and the resources of Sin. So whilst they're 2.5k behind, Rymeister's not. The carry is always going to hurt.
And that's the thing, Rai, not just, you know, a big carry for the team, one of their star players, but definitely a big voice in-game as well. A lot of decisions. I think almost all of them get made by Rymeister as far as shot calling goes. He's a very smart player as well as a talented player, but this is a big test for this young captain to try and guide these guys around the roof against the Chiefs, who are so good at playing around the map.
At this moment, I feel like it's Rymeister trying to, Chippies trying to stall as long as possible for Rymeister to scale up into that late game.
Well, it's a pretty standard Sin game plan. We'll see how it goes this time around, because Rai is certainly looking threatening. Swiffer, though, keeping things nice and under control here in that bottom side. Has a Hex Drinker now, so Echo's damage not going to be too threatening.
You can tell by his pathing, though. Like, Swiffer wants to fight. You don't hug walls that aggressively unless you're looking for him to overextend. The Chiefs across the board right now are trying to catch Sin out, and that is reflected in their pink ward purchases, which are perfectly pyramided almost. Damn it, Ejim.
It's like a flying V of pink wards. I love it. Yeah, Ejim, though. Combo breaker.
The flying V strategy.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Well, Tower now going to be assaulted as they did take the Rift Herald about 30 seconds ago. Do a bit of additional pressure from the minions they can use, but looks like wave clear's there for Azir. You don't really want to be pushing the Azir lane as a general rule.
The pressure is on Chippies. Like Rusty said, if he dies here, it's disaster. But if he can stay alive, Sin should be able to stave off this assault with Azir in position.
Or not if that happens. Rai eating poke now from the Nidalee, who's got really nothing much
the
else,
flash.
but Ejim's going to make a big play for it. Lancer Spite's going to save the Azir. Chief's trying to burn down the turret as Ejim sort of caught out in the front side, but the ulti from Ali going to keep him nice and healthy. And the Chiefs, all they wanted was the objective, and that's what they get.
The dangerous thing is always that Lancer Spite saving them if the Chiefs get over-aggressive and dive, which is why their decision-making was perfect. Because as you said, only wanting the objectives, playing it slow and as calm as they possibly can, and making it work for them.
Yeah, I feel like if they had decided to dive and split their damage off of the tower, it would have led to disaster.
The Swiffer Chippy show does continue in that bottom lane, though. Swiffer 2 levels up still. He's definitely threatening to Chippies, but Tank Echo not too bad. As Tally now going to win. Since all the Legacy boys out on Twitter tonight, that's not a Tallywhacker Echo sad face.
No, it's not.
I mean,
It's a Chippies Echo.
that's true.
And not to take away from Chippies, Tally just had a fantastic performance on Echo. And Chippies has a role in this game, and his role in Sin drastically different to Tally's in Legacy, so not to take away from Chippies whatsoever.
No, not at all, but Tally definitely had a good set of games yesterday. I think if any player could play like Tallywhacker, they'd probably take it at this point, given his recent results. Chippies, though, doing just fine, like you said. 0-3-0, but items coming out.
40 CS
Zed's
ahead.
not too threatening, and yeah, plenty of CS up against Swiper. To be fair, both these top laners kind of okay.
Yeah.
Even Swiper, plenty of damage to do, even when he doesn't have all his tank items up. But Rymeister back to split pushing. No TP, of course. Had to take the exhaust for the lane. But if you can be threatening, especially with Juves here, this is the right sort of play. Rai, though, he's going to have to push Swiffer out of the way. He's going to try and make it work. Damage is massive, and he actually gets it. 1v2 as Juves is going to chase him down. They do get the trade, but Swiffer effectively won that.
But guess who has the Zhonya's Hourglass?
And didn't pop it.
Exactly right. Rymeister actually dies, I believe, in the middle of his travel on the E. Just didn't get the time to use it. And that's a misplay, plain and simple.
Well, Poke still coming here for Chiefs as they're continuing their siege. Looks like Spook stole the blue away from Sin and is now using it to throw spears at them under the turret. They'll back away, though. Looks like they've got something else in mind. But let's watch this again. Swiffer, how did he get out of this?
And so credit to Rymeister and not just blowing the Zhonyas immediately, because that's what you want to do. You want to ult him towards Juves, make him use his shadows to get out to safety and then try and chase him down. The Zhonyas would have locked him down for a period of time where Rymeister needed to do damage, but he still needed to live. And there's just this fine balance between trusting Juves and trusting that he can get the kill and not dying for it yourself. It is a 1-for-1 trade. Could have been 1-for-0.
Well, it's a little trade there instead as Swiffer does go back and get himself the more of Malmortius. Actually, might have had it before, but I think that's the Hex Drinker shield carrying over. Is he still pushing?
I was just going to say the Hex popped last team fight. So.
I was wondering if the item was fresh was all, because I think the shield carries over. I'm like, did he have it before and I missed it? I don't know. It's okay. Juves, though, going to take Scuttlecraft. Everything's okay, everyone. 20 stacks, though, for Juves. Not slated just yet. A little while off, actually. Those 2 dragons Chiefs have. Certainly hurting the Kindred. Ranger also with 2 items. Static Shiv now at the ready. Going to start wave clearing with impunity. Which is sort of the Civ special. Chippy's trying to make something happen here, but he's getting grabbed up. Rest in here, maybe going to try and turn things around. Spook's actually the target, but that's a good hook there onto Swiper. They'll lock him down, but Radius here now as well.
Rogue's
Ultimate
in
pop
trouble.
Rogue. It definitely has to get out of there. Boomerang Blade, though, not going to come in as Chippy's going to try and lock them in the front lines. Ejim also rotating in. Sin, I'm not sure they can defend this turret, but they need to try and do something here.
And Sin need to effectively win 4v4s because at the moment the top laners are Zed and Azir without teleport. Very important that Chippy stays healthy and that Kadra puts in work. Well, Chiefs will run away with this.
Oh, Ejim again, though. Now Juves is the target. Pops the lamp to a spike, but Rady gets played back into the team. Very nice play there from Rogue, but Ejim is more than healthy with the ultimate. And again, lots of bloodshed under the turret, but nobody dead.
But here comes the mid laner, Zed and Azir now starting to rotate over, and Chiefs are not giving up this siege.
No, not too healthy either, so have to be careful. Good needle threaded there, but
He
oh
will
my god,
dive.
Swiffer.
We know he'll dive, let's be honest.
There's the TP. Gonna get low. Rymas going to dive in for it. Ejim stuns him up. There he's going to go straight in over the top. The Zonius does find it this time, but Swiffer needs to keep moving in. Ejim, though, stunned in under the turret as Roy
Good
gets a
hook.
nice hook in onto Swiffer. Sin now going to chase down as Raid is completely
dead.
in the front lines and will get shut down. Sin, answer back under the turret for 3. Maybe going to get a 4th there as Swiper gets locked down. Kadra going to swoop in for it, and all of a sudden, Sin going to turn things around.
And Sin pick up 4 massive kills, and it could not have been timed better for them. Defusing the dragon, getting easy gold in their back pocket, and potentially turning the entire game back into Sin's favor.
I'm going to have to give that entirely to Rymaster. This was so great to use the Emperor's Divide to buy time for the teleport to allow Chippies to get there because Chiefs were going to burn that. And Swiffer goes down without burning the Death Mark. Beautiful chain CC coming out of Sen.
Yeah, and whilst it was good from Rymeister, there was still a 2-man stun from Chippies to lock down the Zed, who didn't even get his ult off.
Well, it seems like Sin take a nice team fight win, and the mid lane outer turret as well. Don't opt in for the Dragon, don't opt in for the Baron, so take the safe objective and do open up some space for themselves. 4-2 in turret still though up for Chiefs. Does create a little bit of pressure as far as overall room goes. Rymeister, Nash's Tooth now completed, gonna go back and look towards that 3rd item. You have to think it'll be the standard Rylai's. This Chiefs gonna take themselves a 3rd Dragon. Sin, they get a team fight win, but they're still struggling to contain Spooks and the rest of the Chiefs around the rift.
But the game is so close in the gold. I mean, we talk about, you know, Sin are very clearly the underdogs going into this. The Chiefs look so relaxed, but Sin came to play, and these 2 series have been very close.
You can never pick it until the advantage is a broken base, right? And right now, there's no base broken, so effectively we are even. Sin, we just saw them win a team fight, and it's entirely possible that they can continue to do so. But it's a matter of engaging, because they're against an Alistar with Windspeaker's Blessing and an E maxed, and a Nidalee who's
And the
got sustain
CDR
everywhere.
boots.
Exactly. So I'm talking sustain pretty much on the entire team for Chiefs. Comes down to Sin actually picking their battles.
So again, we talked about the difference between Rogue and Ejim's Alistar, and just to quickly point at his build, he's got CDR builds, boots on the Alistar. Rusty pointed out that it is an Emax, which is typically, again, what you do with Windspeaker's Blessing. Think of like a free Locket of the Iron Solari on your E because of this mastery, because Alistar is one of the only champions of the game that has an AoE heal
Which
other
will
than
have a
Sona.
locket with it soon as well.
Exactly. Technically, I think it gives more armor than it does MR, so it's kind of like an inverse Locket.
Seems pretty good.
Pretty
Build
good.
your own old Aegis of the Legion.
It's every stat has a gold value associated with it in League of Legends. So if a mastery can give you, you know, 2,000 gold worth of armor every 12 seconds that you pop your E, that's massive.
Certainly is. We'll see if the Chiefs can maybe use that to their advantage in the next fight, because Sin certainly won the last one. Chiefs, though, going to keep pushing up. We'll see what they're looking to do on the map now. Looks like top lane is actually the pressure point, as there's maybe it's a turret to be taken. Chiefs did chunk out the tier 2 and top side pretty heavily in the last little exchange. You can see Tally back again. The Azir never lose aura is starting to kick in. That I can agree with.
Azir, real good champion.
It's not bad.
Shurima,
bad.
man.
Shurima. That's the
Chippy's
best I got.
busy clearing things out.
I hear Yamada does a really good
The
one.
Shurima thing,
Unsurprisingly,
yeah. And
I
Zed
think.
love.
Also unsurprising.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, we have a bit of a lull in the game because there aren't really major objectives to take
Well,
that are
to be
immediately
fair.
obvious. Baron is up. The Dragon's not and these teams are starting to play a bit more carefully. I think Chiefs losing that last fight sort of put the pedal on the brakes just a bit.
Swiper's actually put himself in a position where he'll be forced to use teleport for the first time this series.
Have I seen him use it once?
I don't know.
And I was going to say, to be fair, Sin have the bottom outer to take as well.
Yeah.
They should just send Chippies down there. But the thing is, he
Chippies
has to
is
deal with
busy.
Zed.
Yeah, and he's busy with this Zed. Ulti's there ready for Chippies. He's going to pop back into his stun, but he actually doesn't lock down Swiffer there. Swiffer just ghost blades out. He's like, all right, I'm done. That's all the pressure he needed. Chippies gets low.
That was a flash, though, from Chippies.
Yeah, Flash to try to get the stun
For
back.
Ignite.
And they lose the tower for it. Swiffer just buying time again for his team. Sin really want that bottom outer, but it's a pretty long lane to have to push back and try and get it. All of a sudden, that standing gold feels awfully far away. And the Chiefs, 4K up now, 28 minutes into this game.
And they're such clever teams, but the Chiefs just constantly getting that slight edge and just chipping more away at Sin. These small little advantages are starting to accumulate to larger and larger gold leads. It was like a 2K game, and it's now ballooned into 4K over the past, I don't know, 3 minutes. Probably closer to 5, but...
And it could go back very easily, and that's the thing. Like 28 minutes in this game. Death timers getting longer. One team fight that goes in Sin's way could be more than one tower take. It could be a Baron and turrets in one push.
Yep.
We'll have to be careful, certainly, because this is where Sin, you think, might start shining with this composition. Echo, pretty tanky, almost up to 3 items. Cardred, 2 items with a third on the way, although Red has actually finished 3, so he's crazy strong at this point in the game.
I feel like it actually comes down to like Radier's damage output versus Rymeister's damage output, and then if Swiffer can just pop someone immediately, or if Juves is able to counteract the death mark.
Also the poking aspect of Chiefs as well. If Spooks hits anything, Zed with the shadows can poke Raider as well using the W off minions or turrets. There's a lot of availability for the Chiefs to get things done. Sin, on the other hand, on wager they don't want to have a poke war unless Rymeister gets it all down and is perfectly positioned. Maybe once the Rylai's is there, they can look towards it. But until such a time, realistically, they just want to press their buttons and get in there.
But they don't necessarily have the greatest hard engage. You effectively have Death Sentence as well as some lockdown from Chippies, unless Rymeister wants to go super deep on the Emperor's Divide.
Yeah, Chippies starting to win. That's not something Swiffer really wanted here. The Chiefs are trying to press forward in mid lane. Good little dash over the wall. Gets a slowdown there as well, but the Maw was actually popped there from the Zed. Had to use the Ghost Blade to get out. And all of a sudden, 3 items there for Chippies. He's ready to fight this Zed.
Has he ascended to Tally level yet? Are we there?
We'll have to check back in, I think. I'm sure Tally himself
Tally, please confirm.
can weigh in on the matter. But map's starting to have some more monsters pop back up on it. Dragon up in a minute. Baron's still there, but great vision there for Chiefs around that objective. Keeping that on lockdown between Dragon spawns. And Chiefs actually have a real shot at snowballing that bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, I think Sin not actually going for the Dragon after they won the fight in bottom was a big mistake. I think they should have at least denied or prolonged what is going to be the Dragon 5 buff available to Chiefs if they get number 4 in 40 seconds. Based off the control of the map, it seems highly likely.
If you guys thought 3-item Sivir was good, let me tell you, 3-item Sivir with Dragon 5 is real good. Like, real good. Those ricochets do work.
Yeah.
As Radier's even working on item number 4. Looks like Last Whisper will be his next item with that pickaxe he's got.
They're so rich after clearing out this Baron pit. That had 8 wards on it.
Value. And Sin actually, I think, trying to start a fight around here.
Rogue hit the
This
hook.
is not safe to try and check here.
Whoa.
Raider in the mid lane.
Are
They're
we
going
going?
in for a pick. They don't find anyone, though. Box used there by Rogue.
I am so lost. Swiper flash,
Keep pushing
though.
mid.
So the hook was obviously onto him. Chiefs have an inside track, man. This is dangerous if you're Sin.
Well, you can see Chiefs actually just going straight for it. Sin have to recall pretty far back in, and the Chiefs are just going to try and take it.
Burn
it,
Chippies
burn
going
it.
to be in, but the tower's going to go down. Jude's going to get picked up, perhaps. He does pop the lamp for a spy, but he's got Chunk so low as Radier flashes over to get himself another kill. Now Cardred's under complete threat as Spooks lands a spear onto him and wants to dive. Doesn't commit for it, but still 5v4. The Chiefs are going to break open the middle of the base.
Wow, the Chiefs, they just take everything away from Sin. Sin try and be proactive, but as you said earlier, Frosker, the engage is left wanting. Thresh not able to lock it down entirely, right?
Oh, very good. Zonya's now Ejin caught out in the front lines, but he pops the ulti, and Swiffer, he just wants it. He goes straight into the back to try and get the pick off, but
My
Swiffer,
God.
he's actually going to get taken out by Cardred. Chiefs actually a little bit under threat here, perhaps, as Swiper now going to get flayed back into the team. Sin picking up fights here as they can.
Ejim's
Ejim's dead, as that's a double in for the Azir. Once again, Sin, they answer under a turret.
And that is 3 people dead for 30-odd seconds. You would think Sin can try and pressure around that Baron buff area once more, but Raider is never going to stop pressuring lanes. Spooks is always going to be a looming threat, so unfortunately, you'll say for the targets killed, could be risky.
I want to take a step back to kind of what led to all of this, because it was just, again, a very tiny misstep positionally from Sin to, like Rusty said, give Chiefs the inside track to the mid lane, but without any hesitation. Like, that's the level that we're at in the OPL now, is you cannot give a team like Chiefs any room.
Okay, this is a bit risky from Sin because Death Timers are almost finished, but I feel like they have to do something. They're going to go in for the Baron. TP there for Swiper. Chippies is running his way there.
This is so dangerous.
And Spooks is here as well. You're absolutely right, it is. As Spooks is threatening.
Being burned.
Looking for a steal. Baron getting low. He does land in on it. The Baron's actually dead as Rhymas is able to take it out. Now Spooks actually is a little too far in the front line. Sin are able to get the pick and get the Baron.
That was very clean from Sin. The Baron, the kill, everything they could want and more. As the Chiefs don't get there in time. Azir, Lucian, Kindred, they burn it quick.
Where's the teleport? The thing
There's no ward.
But we see that Swiper's coming up, so we're like, this is super dangerous. The Nautilus can get there. Yes, there was no ward directly on the Baron pit, but he still has so many options to get there. Instead, he walks off the base. Spooks is pushed out, which great job from Sin to zone him out to the side so Nidalee can't contest for it. But I feel like there was an option for Chiefs. And Swiper, TP, man.
Well,
absolutely.
We talked about not needing it in game number 1, but maybe needed a moment there to get into it. Sin also claimed the Dragon on the back end of that fight as well. Now get the recalls and full shots in. Raid is doing what he can on the top lane, but look at that golden and ignore it for a bit, because this game is effectively reset.
Yeah,
paused.
they've denied the Dragon as well. By getting that Dragon, it's no longer 4 for Chiefs. It's 1 for Sin. And 1 at 34 minutes in this game with a Baron buff is statistically phenomenal for this side. That, as you basically said it brings the game back to pretty much equal on the assumption that Sin can get a turret with this buff.
Again, it's the idea that every single stat in the game has a gold value attached to it. So if you're effectively stacking 5% AD and 5% AP, or I think it's actually 6% on 4 items, that's like 3k gold.
Sneaky Swiffer in the bottom lane there as well. Good poke actually there, but Sin, they've actually moved Chippies back to answer it. He does have the TP there as well. So now Swift actually has to back away as the Chiefs maybe find a window to try and get some damage done. Rymeister surfs away to safety.
Swift is in.
But this is a flank from the Zed. Codger is so low. He's just going to get ulted up. The Lambster Spite's going to keep him alive. Rymeister pops the Zonyas there as well, but Swiffer, he's just a little too low. And Chippies is completely into the backline trying to tie up some carries. Has to go back into the parallel convergence. Does get into it safely. But Sin, lucky not to lose someone there. The Chiefs are still hunting for something.
Yeah, wow. Sin actually completely disengaged, but this is the power of the Chiefs once more. Sivir crits, hitting the backline, and Nidalee spears on the flank diffuses any advance that Sin attempt to make. Whilst no one dies, whilst both teams effectively reset, Chiefs diffuse a lot of that Baron buff.
That could have been really scary, though, for Sin. So like you said, great disengage. I'm actually really surprised that they got out of that alive. The Lamb's Spite was effectively burned for one person, Swiper diving. Yeah, Swiffer diving. And they just happened to scatter. I feel like Chiefs' actual target priority selection was the bigger issue there.
Well, blue buff here. Could go to Spooks, could go to Swiffer. Looks like Swiffer's going to move in and take it for himself. Does have a QSS now on top of his 3 damage items. So Zed going to continue being a frustrating threat, but hey!
We got it, boys.
Finding an outer turret, pretty squishy at this stage of the game. But that is good goal for themselves. Baron buff starting to wear off though, so sort of again reset the game once more.
Easy money, easy life.
Well, absolutely, and it was also necessary money, so breaking the outer turrets opens the map up with minions as well, so they can push in deeper, make life a bit harder for Chiefs to deal with it. Swiper may have to attend it more often than he currently was. And look at the difference in farm between top laners right now.
Look at the difference in farm between the 80 carries.
Yeah, so this is, again, we're talking about the style of the teams where the money is being given to and how they're actually distributing. Chippies needs to deal with Swiffer, not with Swapper, so they're giving him the resources to deal with the Zed. But on the flip side, they're actually sacrificing a lot of Cardred strength.
And Lucian, he's doing just fine on damage, but Sivir, 4 items now completely finished.
But he's an Infinity Edge behind. Like,
yeah.
Go pickaxe. I mean, that's a lot.
It is. And Sivir does a lot of work
your
with all
damage
that crit.
output.
Yeah. Dangerous, dangerous stuff. Chiefs actually have a big advantage from that alone.
Well, Swift are going to continue the trend of split pushing with the Zed. Feels like he maybe can battle Chippies, maybe not. As Chippies comes back in. It's almost 4k health on that Echo.
Yeah, Dead Man's as well. So he's actually completely stacked armor with a Spirit Visage for the only magic resistance.
Yeah, which means the best case scenario for Swiffer here is just to draw as many resources as possible or have his team collapse to him to try to pick off Chippies.
Ooh, Spooks actually gets a turret hit there. Sin in position to wave clear out, so we'll do so. That tier 2 is looking a little fragile, but is safe for now here for the Sin lineup. You can see Rhymaster, 4 items completed, so we talk about where power's weighted for these teams. Rhymaster is doing silly things on the Azir as far as damage goes. Yeah.
That's the scary thing. So yes, he's doing silly damage. Everyone right now is effectively, they're going to be doing silly damage. Comes down to one team fight, really. Chiefs have control of the map, though.
They still do. Not quite able to get that turret, though. Swiffer actually had quite a lot of poke there from the Lucian. Chippy's going to make his way back, get his mana refreshed, and maybe look for a home guard TP. Rymeister busy cleaning mid lane, though. This is sort of an interesting wave clear battle. Radier versus Rymeister. Both want to be with their teams, but they're also the best wave clear, and Radier wants to keep pressuring mid. As Cardra actually going to get dove in there. Lambsdorff Spike gets burnt. Almost was going to die to it by the looks of things. I think that turret's going to have to fall now. Big cooldowns burnt there for Sin just to save Cardred from Zed.
Yeah, to be fair, Cardred's itemization isn't going for the QSS, so Juice is always going to use the Lamb's Respite to keep Cardred alive. It's actually just the strategy that you would expect from them, as Rymeister is a longer-ranged mage with the Zhonya's Hourglass. So it's expected that Swiffer ults him. It's also expected that Juice will be with him at every single period of time in this game to keep him alive. So no big deal. The only thing is the cooldown of the Lamb's Respite in response to Zed's Death Mark, which level 16, really low.
And it's just also, like you said, super punishing on Cardred's itemization right now because, again, we don't have the Infinity Edge. Are you going to then itemize straight into the QSS from here? Are you going to try to complete that, trying to complete an Infinity Edge as well as the QSS or the Scimitar from 5th to 6th item is awful for slots.
Like, to me, it's entirely a battle of trust. Even Juice going for the QSS says, Swiffer, you have one option.
Yep.
Like, use that one option because that's our only way to beat you with it, is by putting down Lamb's Respite.
Well, starting to heat up again here as we're relatively late into this one. Almost 40 minutes have elapsed as the Dragon is back alive. Chiefs straight on top of the objective and Sin nowhere in sight for it. That's going to be Dragon 4. Very simple there for the Chiefs.
Which means that it's now a 6-minute window for Dragon 5.
And to fight around that Baron. Chiefs are looking back towards it. Big Kindred mark on there as well, just for a little bit of extra added incentive. You can see Sin's base is awfully vulnerable, which is the reason they have to play back so far into their own half.
One team fight.
Yep.
One choice.
One opportunity, one shot. Everything Sin ever wanted. They need to slow push bottom lane. Sin, they don't want to hard push it so that Swiper can respond. Of course, Nautilus having the teleport means that Chiefs can control the bottom side of the map and then work to the Baron buff much more effectively. Chippies, whilst he has teleport, is still going to be dealing with Swiffer.
And at this point, looks like item slots are starting to get really full for the team. Good news about Radier. Can't get too much stronger from this point because he's got all his items completed, but there's a terrifying Sivir.
Good news. Bad news, guys. Sivir's got 6 items. Good news. She's not getting any stronger.
Well, I mean, Dragon 5 will make her a bit stronger. Baron buff's going to help as well. Like, there are some things you can do. Could buy a Zeke's Herald, you know. Make some differences. But yeah, as a general rule, Radier, this is sort of his capping out point. The issue is that, yeah, Sivir's really strong late game. But, conversely, on the other side, also nice and strong. Working on Death Cap, I have to think, as his last item. He's not there yet, but he's got the meatiest component of it there.
He's still absolutely terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Swiffer vs. Chippy's round 4?
I'm going to say 5.
Well, it's something over 10, let's be honest.
Well, we're going at it again at least. And looks like Chippy's is still winning. Swiffer, though, is going to threaten. Does pop the death mark now. Damage is getting a lot better, but Chippy's actually needs to win the 1v1 for his team. Damage is there for Swiffer, and he just hops away safely.
Yeah, but hopping away was still fine for Chippies as well as Swiffer. Swiffer, of course, wants to disengage. Chippies can recall Home Guard's teleport in if Sin were to engage down here. So it's still effective. I'm going to still call it a win for Sin.
I got chunked in mid lane, unfortunately. They tried to set up a turret. It was a good move to counter push mid lane. Try and get something happening with the bottom lane battle underway. But the Chiefs again, they clear it out. They chunk out Rymeister. He's the big threat. And they push the waves back and retake control of Baron. They actually got complete control of the pit with those 2 lovely-looking pink wards. We've even got 2 just up to above them as well for plenty of extra vision. Chiefs know where they have to play right now, and they're just going to stop Baron.
Okay. Risky
Sin.
play.
Spotted. That's a
no.
test. Oh, they passed the first test. Swiffer's here as well. Jude's going to move in for it. The Chiefs are going to
Good
look to get a
zone.
knock-up
It's
happening.
gone.
The Baron's actually too low. It is going to go down. Spook's able to smite it away, but Sin still want to look for a fight. Very dangerous here. And they don't quite have too much engaged. Chiefs are going to get away scot-free, I think, but Chippies.
Oh, now Chippies is actually caught out on the wrong side of the map. Chiefs will probably try and 4v5 here.
Chippies actually TPing in. They're going to try and collapse in and around them,
They
but
ate too much
Swiper
poke.
is going to start that out. Rhymaster way too low. As Swiffer just dives into the backline and looks for somebody else. He's going to go down, though. That's 1 kill.
That's 2. Ejim's dead. Swiffer died. They've got a lot of time once again, Sin. And 43 minutes in this game, you would hope that that is enough time to get something. But with the lack of control of the map and with a Baron buffed 3 members of Chiefs, they effectively diffuse that once more.
I feel like Rymeister again saved the day for Sin. That could have been disaster, but a good or a well-placed Emperor's Divide pretty
They've
much
comped
saved their
themselves,
lives
like,
there.
into staying in this
Yeah.
by getting Chiefs champions in game number 2.
Tally the Prophet, man. He said it. The Azir never lose, starting to kick back in.
I'm telling you, it's the stabby things.
The soldiers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Do a lot of damage.
What I was looking for was Javelin, but
It's oddly satisfying to watch Siva press W once and
Oh,
kill
yeah.
all 6, but it's also disgusting to watch.
Yes.
'Cause it's
Boom.
like, how
So
can
is
you
that.
do this?
Well,
Like,
Jeeves eats a big spear to the face. Deathcap actually done for Spooks.
yeah.
So, hurting quite a lot there.
Void Staff will be next as well.
Full on carrying Italy here, perhaps.
we were talking about the tests, so
Yep.
yes, they lost the Baron, but the next test for Sin is coming up, and it's that 1 minute, 48-second Dragon.
And this is where they have to really find a fight they like.
But they're competing against 2 open inhibs, against a Baron buff.
Swiper should run Ignite, honestly, at this stage.
Or at least, you know, like,
Have we seen a
Alacrity
teleport?
enchantment on the
I
boots,
don't
perhaps.
recall one this
He's got
series.
distortions. I think you should have the green enchant, right? He's running there anyway. Just get there faster. Buy Mobies.
See, that's
no,
why he
Captain
wore.
Boots, man.
Captain Swiper.
That's why he wore such amazing shorts today.
Ah, he's got to have that mobility. That makes sense.
No, it's just to show off his nice legs.
Oh, I see. Well, he's been working them out, let me tell you. So they'll be nice and toned up for this series if we go the distance. Rady, though, fighting
Rady can
Chippies.
fight
And
him.
Rady's winning
Absolutely.
handily. As that's going to force Chippies back. No TP, so this is a dangerous spot here. Sin going to collapse around their team, make sure they're all okay. But that's just more pressure for the Chiefs, who are now 1 minute away from that Dragon.
Oh, and forcing a Sivir ultimate doesn't actually equate to anything right now.
Such a low cooldown.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 40-second cooldown at
Yep.
best. Chiefs, they've got control of the entire map. Trying
Trying to make a play. Flashes in for Spooks, but doesn't get the pick.
42 seconds.
Huge cooldowns burning. Now Carter and Swiffer are having a battle, but Swiffer's winning. He grabs the shutdown on the other end, and the Chiefs pulling Sin across 2 different lanes. Now going to force a fight straight into that mid lane. Rymeister has to surf off to safety, but Raiders crit juice. Rymeister almost going to go down to it as well. He has to Zonyas because of red buff. And there's the shutdown
That's
from
gonna be
Spooks.
game.
That looks to be game hit. Game way too late here. As GC is going to try and shove down the rest of the base. They grab in onto Rogue. Going to try and get a few more kills for themselves. That one's going to go over to Spooks as Chippies looks to be maybe dead as well. He's going to ulti back to try and get out. Flashes to safety towards the fountain. But the Chiefs will take the ultimate prize, the Nexus of Sin, and win game number 2.
Cool, calm, and collected Chiefs in game number 2. They don't do anything drastic. They don't need to, as they pick up the second game in this best of 5.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, I'll say it over and over. It's just these small mistakes. And against a team like the Chiefs, you can't afford to give them an inch because they take a mile.
And that's what they did all game long. A little bit of a different game here, as you can see. Sin heads in hands a little bit more, starting to realize that the pressure's mounting. Being 0-2 down in the best of 5 is never a good feeling. And again, these are young players. The Cinderella story, as we keep calling it, could be coming to an end. The players can feel that. That's so much pressure, especially for the rookies.
And honestly, I'm looking at both of these teams in this best of series, and I don't see a major difference between them. I feel like it's subtly around vision and subtly around execution, but gold doesn't matter. Team fighting, Sin is still going even, if not winning. Like, it's real close.
Well, it's certainly a good fight there for Sin, but they are still 0-2 down. The Chiefs take yet another game. We're going to get a bit more breakdown from the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Pastry Time. Another victory for the Chiefs Esports Club. That sends them up 2-0 against Sin Gaming. Want to take a look and kind of echo the sentiments out of Rusty. This seems to be a game of millimeters now. and Chiefs just that little bit quicker to every punch.
Yeah, and I have to say that I much preferred Sin's draft this time around. They looked a whole lot better. But there's just something about late-game Chiefs and their vision control, especially deep into the enemy jungle, that really looks like it's taking them to the next level. Sin need to look at that for game number 3.
I agree with Rusty. Draft was a lot better from Sin this time around, but once again, the early game was very weird from Sin, giving up 3 towers left, right, and center, trying to go 4-on-4 in lane, up in the top lane and bottom lane. Just not working for them.
Yeah, Sivir got a little bit far ahead early on in that one, and Radiant was an absolute monster. 100 CS up at about the 40-minute mark. Of course, 410 CS at that mark as well. This Sivir was so massive. An Infinity Edge ahead at the end of that game. And as we were walking past, I actually heard him say, have a look at the damage graph. And I have a feeling that Sivir spike would have been pretty high.
Yeah, I certainly think that would have been an issue. So my question is, do you ban it? Like,
yeah,
now,
don't ban the Callista. We've said it already, man.
No, we haven't said anything, Atlas. You've said it. So, you can take credit for that one. I haven't said it because I echo the sentiment, but, I'm just here to direct conversation. What are you doing? Come on, get it together. One player I want to look at in a positive light this time around, however, is Chippies. They gave him a lot of power that game, and I'm going to say that he stepped up in a pretty big way. He was able to shut down the split push, go toe-to-toe with Swiffer, and the transfer of that power to me was very interesting, but a good adaptation.
And this was a game where he was shut down very early as well. He was 0-3 at the beginning of the game, kept getting ganked, I would say, in this weird lane swap that
he kept trying to fight them.
Kept trying to fight them. Going with the Dodo Sin no fighter was not a good idea there, but unfortunately, Swiper was able to hold his own against that bottom lane. So ultimately, even though Chippies came back and was able to shut down that split pushing, was able to go toe-to-toe for some time, because Rady was so far ahead, we saw during that final team fight, just a couple of crits was enough to take him down so low.
The issue is here, Swiper's Nautilus. He doesn't care about falling behind in CS. He's going to be Nautilus the whole game irrespective. He's a man made out of CC, and you don't buy that. You just have it because you're Nautilus. So he's always able to do his job.
By the way, I am an equal being, and Swiper, your build that game, not good. Sunfire Cape into Dead Man's Plate, I'm going to call it bad, especially when they have pretty much all magic damage.
Yeah.
So, questionable, but, we'll give it to you. You got the win in the end for your team, but I'm just staying consistent. Each top laner, they're one apiece in my book on pretty shocking builds. But it is a champion pick for them, because I feel that if he does anything, he's got a very, his Q is different than other people's Q. I feel it is a point-and-click ability when he throws it out there, and he is just able to start so many of these team fights off the back of it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And he just plays like a different man when he's on the Nautilus as well. Swiper is so aggressive. It's like you take a look back at Carry Swiper when he's playing Nautilus, because he's so confident, knows exactly what he's capable of, and you're exactly right. I mean, that's a magnetic hook that he has.
He's locking down Sin, and Sin's a team that really wants to fight you as much as possible, and giving Swiper this huge top lane threat that can deal a lot of damage and lock you down, not really good.
Yeah, one thing I do want to bring up, though, is Rymeister. His mid lane performance on the Azir was fantastic. He was actually controlling so many of their team
I
fights.
was going to actually look at the opposite side of the matchup. Because
yes.
What? Swiffer had an interesting game.
He did.
He had a very Swiffer-esque game where, I'm going to say he's now become officially Pawn of EDG.
Yeah.
Where, he's on the team, as let's call him a diversion.
Mascot.
Yeah. What was he doing?
I don't know. Sort of launching himself into team fights saying, I'll distract them, guys. And he's there for 2 seconds and he's dead.
We're talking about the last team fight in the top lane. If you want to know what we're talking about, they get a good pick. Swiffer does some crazy stuff. But, guys, It is currently 2-0. Chiefs are up over Seed Gaming. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have game 3 around the corner. Welcome back to the OPL semi-final number 2, where the Chiefs are one game away from booking their date with Legacy in the grand final, but they have to go through Sin still. And if this team is anything, they will be able to. I reckon they can take a game. I think they have it in them. However, guys, if you want to get along to that grand final, take a look at your local Hoyts, because they're throwing some viewing parties in your area, as you can see on your screen right now. Take your friends along.
Yeah, I'm really upset because I'm going to be working that night, but I really would be keen to head down.
Wow. You live a hard life, Alex.
Wait,
Well, you can do it.
no, producer didn't say anything. I think I will be working that night. Thank goodness.
You can do what Spawn does. Go to the bathroom, watch it there.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Sorry. Do they have a bathroom, Spawn? You would know from
Wait,
last
yeah,
time.
yeah, bathrooms. I hope so.
Okay, let's move
Why
on.
is that bad? I honestly don't get it. But guys, actually, you know what? We've heard from these two guys a lot. And I'm not going to say too much, but a lot. So I'm just going to give us over to the social media, where Julian can at least relieve some of the pressure.
Well, not too sure if we're going to leave that much pressure because you guys are having way too much fun over there. But let's have another check-in with social media. As you can see, it seems like Sin wins still looking strong there. 40% of the Sin fans are still out in force. So we'll see if we can get that number going. CHF win, though, still looking good. It's been 60-40 most of the night. So it's good to see that the Sin fans are clearly behind their team. I have a couple of tweets out, though. From @Jason_OCA, lose game 1, establish underdog persona, feed Rhymemeister. That's the hashtag Sin-Win strategy. We'll see if that works out for them. Here we've got another one here. Spooks have my elo. Everyone just cheering on Spooks. He has been having an excellent series there as well. And that face one, you've been telling Hijinky all day in Rusty and his Muppets chat that hashtag CHF win. Seems like the Muppets Club looking good there, Rusty. So shout out to those guys as well. However, of course, guys, we still want to hear from you in the broadcast. If we go the distance, we could see these numbers change here as well. Right now, 60-40 Chiefs. So use the hashtag CHF win if you want to see that one raised, or the hashtag Sin if you want to see that go up. And of course, for your general conversation around the Twitterverse, feel free to use that hashtag IMOPL. For now, it's back to you guys on the desk.
Thank you so much, Patriot Time. An air of professionalism that I feel is severely lacking in this part of the room. However, let's get into what is the third game of the Chiefs versus Sin.
Why is that your most fluently executed sentence of the night? Like,
you know how long? Yeah, no, just,
Yeah,
I
I
worked
know.
that one over.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, let's get into this game. I want to raise a question of Siva. We've got the two biggest fans of Siva over casting the games. I feel like Rusty, Frostgurn, very much on the high train.
Frostgurn is definitely on
Yeah,
the
we
high
got
train,
the
yeah.
Siva versus Azir matchup, however, and there were some questions of who wins that late game. Rhymemeister and Radier, in my mind, are both very good carries, and it seems that right now Siva is a priority.
Yeah, Siva is just ridiculous. And I think Radier as well, like giving him a champion that can do so much work in the late game is really what's the problem here for Sin, because we mentioned, you know, Swiffer back on the lineup, give Radier all the utility, let him follow the lead of the rest of his team, and he's able to execute mechanically in those late game fights if he's set up correctly almost flawlessly each time. You just don't give him this much power.
And because of the sides these two teams picked, they're going to get first pick once again for Chiefs here. In fact, if it goes even to game 5, they're going to get first pick once again. I would like to see Sin ban Sivir away, but they're going to have to give away one of the 3 picks they're already banning out. He's going to say Kalista.
Which one do you want?
Oh, man, stop banning Kalista. Like, it doesn't really matter here. I don't feel like Radier is going to put as much emphasis on the champion at all. He played fantastically on the Jhin the last 2 games that we saw him. Of course, it was against Sin that time as well, and it was actually Kardrit that picked up the Sivir in both of those games. Radier looked fantastic on the Jhin. He just may as well play that one. He's not going to go towards the Kalista. Ban the Sivir.
I think the Kalista doesn't unlock Radier so much, but it's going to make Ejim this even bigger threat than
Not to mention Swiper as well, yeah.
Yeah, they certainly will. Yep. Okay. Sin have a chance here to rally behind their coach Bensel, who's a very good coach, and try and get the bounce back here.
Yeah.
Like, who are we looking at? Is it Rogue? We spoke a lot about him. Rookie, very impressive split. Still playing well in these games. Is it going to be Rhymemeister that steps up? Is it the veteran Kardrit? Like, where are we looking for like that ignition point? That catalyst, if you will, Fish, to get the game going in their favor.
Well, I'd really like to see Chippies not get as behind in the earlier stages of the game as well. I think they need to calm down a little bit when it comes to the early game, because we've noticed that past the mid game, even if they have fallen behind, things are still looking good for Sin.
I want to look at Juice, because Juice has been phenomenal the past few games that he's played for Sin, but I think that he can step up even more here and execute things a bit better.
Well, let's hope he does, so we go to game number 4. But guys, we're getting into game number 3 right now. Get me the heck out of here. It's Patriot Time, Frostgurn, and Rusty.
Can do this, Spawners. We are back here for game number 3. Chiefs versus Sin. It's been a pretty wild ride so far, but Chiefs do find themselves up 2-0. I feel like the scoreline doesn't tell the whole story here. Honestly, maybe it does. Shin fighting very well, looking to make games close, but the Chiefs just closing out clinically time and time again.
It's just the experience at LAN as well. They're closing out late game. They know how to execute. They've got a strategy. They're playing the strategy. Sin showing some adaptation in the second game, I will say, but they need to go above and beyond in game number 3 because it wasn't enough.
Unfortunately, though, Atlas is not going to get his wish because the very first ban is going to be Callista, but it's okay. We picked it up.
Yep.
Battle Mistress hitting the bench.
There we go. Siva finally going to be banned away from Sin as GP Brom. Again, the bans here for Chiefs. Realistically, they don't have to change too much here.
Ban the chicken.
With their bans, so we'll see what they do want to take away. Could ban a 0. I actually agree. That would be a very strong ban here.
We were theorizing, and no, not Chiefs. I think Sin banned chicken.
100%.
Yeah. Aww.
No, that's Poppy. That's not Birdman.
Pick Azir.
Trundle band away. Swiper. That's cute. He's looking at his team. He's like, guys, give me the Fiora. Like, please pick Azir. No, Swiper having some fun here in sec. We'll see exactly what they want to go for. So only the one change really for Sin as far as their bans go to take Siva off the board. But Blue Side Chiefs, it's the side they wanted every game. You can kind of see why.
Big thing, though, is that Lulu is also up. So it's, okay, what did we drop? We didn't drop the Callista ban. We dropped the Lulu ban. Azir, Lulu, both big priority picks. They do well in a matchup against each other. Lulu, one of the few champions that can actually outrange Azir if she utilizes her help picks and the Glitter Lance on a back creep.
Swiper's having way too much fun, by the way.
Have you seen his shorts?
Ooh, but it's actually Alistar that he picks.
This also throws a gauntlet to Sin, though. As, there's still both of those champions available. Do they want the Azir? Do they value it more than the Lulu? Knowing that it's there to be taken. They go Azir as a response.
Well, confident lock in there from Juice. He actually just takes the Kindred straight away. See what Sing want to move in for their second pick
Do the
of their
Kassadin.
first rotation, though. Don't have to pick it now. But
Come on, Rai.
But I like the panache of the pick. I think Juice looking over. Trying to see if he can confirm this draft with his team. Seems like they do want to pick a mid laner, interestingly enough, but see exactly where they want to go with it.
Who knows? Who really? Like, again, I feel like they'll lock in Fizz and then it'll be a top laner and like mad plot twist. It should actually just be that.
It is Azir instead, so I was maybe suspecting Sing would go back to some of their true roots, but no Yasuo Ozak today, at least in this particular game.
I hope Swiffer wanted to play Lulu.
I guarantee he didn't, but I know that he will.
Yep. Spook's putting his hand up. Can we change this?
Do I have to play Lulu?
Not too happy about what's
like
happening
7 other champions.
I could play Victor.
Give me
He
6.
hovered
That's
Kassadin.
fine.
Can I play Kassadin?
You can play Kassadin, that much I can tell you. We'll see what Chiefs do actually want to pick, though. You can see pretty animated between the members.
Sivir's banned. I know that Radier, one of my favorite 80 carries in the OPL, simply because he plays Ashe.
He is.
I'm a big Ashe connoisseur.
You certainly are. It's Chiefs trying to lock down these final picks, taking a lot of their time, actually. With only 10 seconds left. Looks like Nidalee will be selection number 1. Nidalee Jin.
He's
for the
off.
picks here.
I no longer love Radier.
Yeah, so Siva being banned, Jin the natural next selection besides perhaps the Ashe, but they're early picking as well with that Jin, so I don't blame them for the strategy. I feel like there's definite answers to it that Sin have already locked in.
Yep.
In the Thresh.
Yep.
Most importantly.
and that's, you know,
I have to specify.
it makes
They all
sense.
do it.
It's a big rogue champion. It's a good lane for them. It's good with Jin, obviously, but they already have Alistar, so a lot of different things going on here for Sin that are all good. I wonder what they are going to pick up here for this 4th pick. They've already locked in that support choice. Might be going really far back.
If he, I was going to say, if he locked in Jinx, I would totally jump off Radier and be like, Karjud, you're my new favorite, but he locked in Corki.
Well, there's Corki. Could be Rise champion, but is a Karjud champion as well,
if
I
he's
believe.
there, so it's very unlikely that he's going to be
That would be-
Ramaster's champion.
What a plot twist that would be.
But this is a big thing, comfort pick, obviously, for Karjud coming in.
Yeah, I think Kardrid actually long-time Corki player back when Tristana was also one of the better picks as well.
Yep, it's one of those very old picks that a lot of these 80 carries that have been around a while certainly know their way around. Radiant does play it as well, but hasn't played it a lot recently. And of course, Jin being the most recent champion, showing a lot of strength here. Curious to see how that 2v2 goes actually. But we could, of course, get a lane swap. Looks like all the fun, though, going to be taken out in Swiffer's mid lane, as I think he might be getting Zed again.
Seems likely, of course. I like the Nidalee pick personally here from Chiefs once again. The mix-up.
Varus and Nautilus, so they're tanking in for
poke now.
Swiper, but here we go. This is a classic counter pick into Azir.
Yeah, and this is the big thing. As Azir becomes more common in the meta, you're going to start seeing champions like Kassadin, Victor, Varus, Vigar re-enter the meta as answers to him. Now, naturally,
Oh, baby.
well, that
Hecarim last pick for Chippies.
is a throwback.
Damn. Nice. Okay, Chippies.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
He's gone for the Hecarim, which is basically a carry top laner, but he's going to be into a diffused lane in that of the Nautilus. I guess the question to me is lane swaps. I know that both of these teams entirely capable. To me personally, I think Sin need to look much more actively in getting it this time, not being stopped with it so that they can trade turrets, not lose the early game, and come into their strength in mid-game stronger.
And the big thing is if they're put in a scenario where they can stack their wave correctly, they can actually look towards pushing towards that second tier tower much more effectively than the Chiefs can, because Jhin is so awful at sieging towers. And likewise, they have the Kindred.
I mean, to be honest, all I see is a Hecarim and 2 AD carries with no gap closes. I can definitely see the plan there in the pick for Chippies. I do like the throwback, but we'll see if it works. It's sort of the wild card pick in their team comp. The rest of it put together pretty nicely, but the Chiefs, again, they have a fine comp themselves.
I was actually hoping for the Bard as well as the counter to Jhin as such, but to me, I'm looking at Chiefs' team composition. I'm struggling to see ways that Sin can win a team fight if they don't get into the backline to start it off. They need to take Jhin down. They need to take Varus down. Varus has really good disengage. They've got Nidalee for sustain. They've got a lot of options here on the side of the Chiefs. It's about execution.
And it's funny that you said execution. What was the difference between these two teams? You decided that it was really about the vision. Varus, Nidalee, very heavy on that vision control to lay down their poke effectively.
Yeah, Sin heavy on engaging.
Does seem like a comp that suits the Chiefs. As you can see that team comp on the top of your screen. Sin's, of course, down below. And don't forget to use those hashtags. It's been great, the interaction you guys have had out on Twitter. Hashtag CHF win for those guys sitting in blue and pretty at 2-0. But Sin, of course, could make the big comeback. That's the story all the fans want to see. Hashtag Sin win for them. And hashtag OPL. It's time to get back on the Summoner's Rift for our third game of the semi-final. Chiefs up 2-0. The young Sin lineup, some of them at their first LAN ever, are going to really understand what it means to be pressured in a series.
Let's just say it's no surprises that Sin have started a series as the experienced members against the young members up 2-0, but it's already been mentioned. The underdogs are now on the back foot, and that means that they are in a position where they feel, I'm not going to say empowered, but they feel like they have nothing to lose.
Literally nothing to lose.
And coming into this game, I wouldn't be surprised if they play like it and just go all in.
Yep, I think some of that Sin aggression's really rewarded them in recent weeks, although it's been coupled with very smart play around the map as well.
But as you said, I mean, the scoreline of this series so far, 2-0, doesn't really tell the whole story. Yes, the Chiefs do close out very strong, very clinically, but Sin, for the majority of it, have been right there with them.
One other thing as well is, while we're looking at champion picks and whatnot, and we roughly and briefly touched on Chippies playing Hecarim. One reason that I like Hecarim at the moment is actually the Iceborne Gauntlet change. Because instead of going Trinity Force, and I'm sure Chippies might be inclined to going for that once again, Iceborne Gauntlet provides you a second option in the armor stacking direction, currently against 2 of the big carries being physical dealing, and they're the ones that you're going to be killing.
Well, you saw Chippies get a lot of resources in the last game. We'll see if he can get as many on Hecarim and start causing havoc. Does have the aggressive Ignite as well, so a lot of the standards we're used to seeing from Hecarim play still here for Chippies. As Kardra does get the Krugs, but it is the lane swap they want this time. No 2v2 in top lane. It will be a full-on 2v1.
Yeah, they actually got the swaps, the most important thing. Now we need to see how they go about taking turrets down.
Big thing also is that Swiper managed to get at least part of his creep wave. Typically they get 3, but he walks out with 2 before joining the double jungle.
Which would mean 3 in experience at least, and that's
Yeah.
also a very big thing. Double jungling. It's not that optimal when you're not the one with a machete or a hunter's talisman. You don't get as much experience.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, Eden, though, going to chase him out of the strong side of the map. As Juves and Chippies going to go over to the Raptor camp instead. Chippies happy to tank it up a bit. Juves, though, plenty of damage here between these two, that's for sure. Looks like Chippies going to get all the little ones. Juves going to take the big one, I imagine. Although, yeah, we'll get that one as well. So pretty standard stuff so far.
Except that,
We have a swap back.
yep, they hit the recall, and it's actually Cardred and Rogue running back to face the 2v2 of Alistar versus Jhin.
All right. So pretty curious swap there, but Sin must be feeling confident.
But you lose so much time on this. So what they did is they attempted to push the wave forward, and then in between the waves bouncing, try to make the back and walk down. They will catch the wave hitting the tower, but this is really going to impact Chippies in particular.
Go to back in as well, but just boots there for Cardra doesn't really bolster their combat stats. They'll have a little bit extra here, but not too much. As you can see, Swiffer versus Rhymeister in that mid lane.
And there's the impact for Chippies, burn the TP, so...
And is a level behind.
Yep, and if Swiper ever decides to find his TP key, they do have a window of opportunity where they could utilize this.
Question number 1, where is my teleport button?
I feel like it says a lot about this game that Swiper has TP'd as little as he had. Just about the control they have here. Spooks down the bottom side, ready looking for that crit onto Kadra. Does get the Dancing Grenade and the first shot out, but it's going to burn that one on a caster creep. Make sure he keeps that CS up here on the Jhin.
It opens up so much opportunity for Spooks here. He's lining up for a gank. He's not going to find it, so he's going to hit the back. But knowing that you're so much stronger on this side of the map simply because you have that TP advantage.
Jhin, unfortunately, have seen this show before. Didn't really like the ending. So I'm going to dodge Ejim's potential flash all-ins. We have Tally weighing back in. If Ant, Sin, Oceania reverse sweep this series, I will play Master Yi in the finals. Sin, I believe in you guys.
That's unfair.
Give
he
me
knows
the Master
something.
Yi.
They've scrimmed each other all week. He knows something we don't.
I feel that way a lot about Tally, to be honest, given
saying.
how good he is at League.
Master E was used in the LPL, you know.
Yep, technically 100% win rate in the LPL.
Yeah.
Coming to an OPL final near you, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Fall 10k behind and be Master Yi. Destined for success.
I think there are worse things that could happen.
Well, we'll have to see if Tally's next prophecy comes true. Was almost right about the Azir in game 2 as we have trouble in topside. Juve's looking for Swiper, sorry, as Chippy's also going to get that knockback. Juicy with the red buff, but good flash in from
he goes
Swiper.
Bond.
Wants
He's
to
in
go
the creep
aggressive,
wave.
but it might be a little too much. The damage is still there, and Swiper, ignited down, is going to go down to Hecarim.
I am going to outright question Swiper's strategy right there. Of course, Spooks is nearby. And yes, there was a minion wave that he was fighting in, but it's an Ignite Hecarim. It's something that he may not be used to playing against because they haven't seen it for a while. Still does enough damage to take him down.
TP in, though, going to try and turn things around, but that's just Swiper going to collect his farm. Spooks will try and delay some recalls here.
Okay, so we're going to see the replay, and Rusty's 100% right. He thought that with the creep wave that they're fighting in, that he would have enough, and just was caught off guard by how much damage was being done. But I'm going to count it as a win. Swiper found teleport and actually TP'd back to the lane.
Well, it does still have a CS lead as a result, but we'll see what damage Chippies can start getting done. Does have Ruby Crystal and Longsword now, so looks like that Trinity Force could be the build here again. With no Sheen in sight for that potential Iceborne Gauntlet. Daggers everywhere in mid and jungle for Sin as well. We're going to have Stinger first here for Rhymeister. A bit more aggressive versus the Varus. Swiffer already gone back and got his tier. CSing very nicely here and just keeping things back. Varus, all he really wants to do is neutralize this lane as much as possible.
He's a 2-item champion, so definitely just wants to chill. Rhymeister on the flip side, you'll note when he places down his soldiers, they are within range of being a threat to Swiffer, so naturally gravitates backwards.
What I really like out of the Chiefs' composition are the different bridging points as well as the different ranges. So they have escalating ranges in terms of like their damage threats on their champions, like Nidalee Varus and then, or excuse me, Nidalee Jhin, then Tavares. But then also Nidalee as kind of like an early bridge champion, and Tavares as the mid-game power spike champion to compensate for Jin's power trough in mid-game for late-game spike.
Spooks caught though, forced to flash out as Juves just straight up shoots him. Spooks, again, sort of out in his own in the river with not enough vision. Juve's going to punish him there.
But isn't that amazing? We start standard. Everyone just chills out. No successful level 3 gank in the bottom lane. Everything has been adapted and reacted to by Sin. And now Juves is actually starting to catch Spooks out of position warding by predicting where he's going to be next. Things have turned around.
Oh, good hook there from Rogue. Almost connects in onto Radier, but space as well to not get caught out. Spooks here again, though. And Sin not taking the bait. Spooks actually going to almost finish that recall, but does decide to stay. Ejim again wants to try and make the play. Juves are stealing that blue buff away, so if this doesn't work for Chiefs, as Ejim's going to go in for it. Oh my god, they missed the snare. Rogue now going to keep moving back in, gets exhausted, but he flashes out to safety, and the hook's going to land in, but it doesn't quite get a key target. Good play though from Rogue, but they are going to chase him down. Spooks gets it, but Cartridge should be able to take him out here. Does get the Frost Bomb down for the traders. Rhymeister and Chippies are down here as well. Great flash from Radier, but Ejim's not going to be so lucky. Runs back towards the tower. And this goes to whoever they want it to. It is going to be Cartridge for the double.
Corky picking up 2 kills. Sin rotating with not just their top laner who has the advantage in teleport, but their mid laner who has a cleanse makes his way down. And that is monstrous for the Sin in the way of getting it back. The only unfortunate thing was that Rogue's hook, I think, hit a minion. Apart from that, impeccable.
Oh, good ulti there from Rai as well.
Juice
Juice
is
also
in.
here after the counter jungle. Swiffer forced to push out. Sick ulti onto Kindred to maybe save him here. Rymaster's going to
Oh,
move the
wow.
soldiers in. Lateral Spike burnt for the dive, but it's not enough to kill the Varus.
They don't kill him.
Bloodthirsty.
Yeah, wow. Sin still, however, they have control in this mid lane. There's a package on Cardred.
Oh, Cardred going in for it. Swiffer way too far back there. Shouldn't have stayed.
Aw.
And Cardred, yeah, could have had a double there. Sin continuing to pressure.
Sin have just exploded.
But we talked about this, though. You know, they've got nothing to lose. This is the final game. It's just go ham.
Well, they're doing it so far, and it's coming up pretty nicely for them as Swiper forced to walk himself to that mid lane here just to stave off some of the pressure. Radius still back in bottom lane, does have himself a BF sword, so looking pretty happy on the Jhin for right now. But Sin going to go back, spend some well-deserved cash, 4-1 up in kills already. Major component to the T-Force done for Cardred. He'll return to bottom lane, and Sin, they certainly came to play, and they're starting to fight Chiefs early.
I think it's safe to say that this is the Sin we want to see in a semi-final matchup against the Chiefs. And what I mean by that is a Sin that gets ahead early. Because that is when they are most threatening, they feel the most confident, and they start to execute on the map.
Good hook on the Spooks, but not going to stop the blue invade. Unfortunately, Ejim puts an end to that.
But the thing is typically when Sin snowball ahead, it's on the back of Juves into Rise lane. This time around, it's Cardred that's come away with majority of the gold, 3-0 right now on this Corki. So I'm just curious, you know, in between the package timers, how that'll really impact the rest of the map, and if Sin can continue to snowball from here, I think it means that Juves needs to start playing around the bottom
So
lane.
what that actually indicates to me is that Rymeister should go bottom, and that they should all go mid.
Yeah, I
Which
agree.
gives a lot more availability to them.
To roam it around and spread the power.
Yeah.
Might be waiting for T-Force, but shouldn't be too far off now for Cardred. As Rymeister actually pulls the wave. Trying to freeze it, I think.
I'm actually not sure what that was. Like, he could have gone to Raptors, perhaps. I'm not sure if that
Just didn't quite make it over the wall.
I'm just a little bit confused.
He's definitely keeping it back here. Does have a little bit of a CS lead, so zoning Swiffer out, but Varus is very long range. Pretty hard to keep him away from creeps. As again, 4 Chiefs Pink Lords ready. Swiffer's like, yep, you can have this one this time.
Yeah, and actually confused. I thought it was a Thunderlord's Decree. At least that's what the graphics said. And usually Varus would go for Deathfire Touch, much like a Jhin would. The bonus damage that you do on your Q is actually quite cool.
Is absurd.
You never hit
Is
three
the word
things
you're looking
as
for.
Varus because you're sitting back poking every 6-second interval or however long it is depending on your charge time. Like, you actually probably should have Deathfire Touch.
It's 4 seconds.
Swiffer in trouble. We'll check out Thunderlords now if he has it. Juve's actually diving straight in for it. Good ulti,
Got
but it's
him.
not enough. Juve's ultis himself. Now to stay alive, they have to juggle properly, but Rogue here to zone out Spooks. Juve's looking to leap here. The tower's going to fall as well. Very well played by Sin.
And there's the rotation from Cardred and crew. Again, moving that gold lead around, putting it into the mid lane, and taking a very early tower on the Chiefs.
Yeah, very smart play from Sin once again. They've accelerated the pace of this early game. And we're moving into the mid-game stage where in the last two, we've seen Sin actually start to pull ahead and find advantages. So coming into this period with advantages could make things worse for the Chiefs.
Certainly a nice change for the team as they are going to take Rift Herald here as well. Juves must be stacking quite quickly this particular game because that Devour is already done as Chippies is going to go ahead and get the buff. He's going to recall. We could have some major items completed here for carries. Trinity Force not quite there yet for Chippies, but everyone's starting to power up, and the Chiefs, almost 2,000 gold behind at this point, have to be very careful. Good route though onto Cardred, but not enough to follow in with. Rogue just keeps the Alistar out with a preemptive play. Cardred gonna have to play a bit safe for now.
So the funny thing about this point in the game as well is you've got a Sheen that effectively matches a crit. And he's actually going to be doing as much as a crit does by standing still, taking the combo, and just pressing his Gatling gun as he crits him with Sheen. And that's exactly what we just saw. Cudger being 3-0 makes the CS advantage less. It also means that their strengths are relatively matched, and we're looking at Rogue and Ejim to try and get something done.
Cardred going to clear the rest of this wave. I think he must have Trinity Force ready. Last of his mana used. Radio and Ejim stay though, and you can see a big chunk of money does mean he has Trinity Force ready. But Radio and Ejim going to stay for an extra wave. Sin could get some tower pressure here.
And speaking of Trinity Force, Chippies has decided to go that route himself as well, as opposed to the Iceborne Gauntlet Spirit Massage route.
Yeah. It's offensive, it's split push, so Trinity Force, for reference, is a dueling item. That's how it's always going to be coined as. Iceborne Gauntlet is more of a survivability. Like if they were against the Zed again, perhaps he might have opted towards that. But instead he wants to be able to kill Nautilus.
The thing about this, though, is that I feel like he's so critical to shutting down the Chiefs' composition because, like you said, very two immobile AD carries, Jhin and Varus. Hecarim's going to do a ton of damage too.
Caught out now on top side. Ulti's going to follow, but he does ulti over the top in the tower, but a great hook there from Swiper. Spook's going to lock it down and take the kill.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing there is Chippy actually has to use his ult over the wall. Can't use it at the same time as the Nautilus knock-up, which is potentially where he should have gone with that. Unfortunate, but Sin, they respond.
Yep, take the Dragoning. 5 Devour stacks for Juice is a nice little bonus there after taking that objective down. Chiefs, though, still looking to get a bit of gold back here. Always feels like Ejim and Radio want to go aggressive in the bottom side. Radio going to take that ward out, though, but Cardred, you can see, nice and strong. First items reached for both these AD carries, in fact, as Radio finishes Essence Reaver on the other side. But you can see Cardred. Corki's always been strong with one item. Starting to show off some of that power here. Good hook.
Yeah, look at the damage.
I want to talk about something that happened in the top lane, though. So Rai made a very intelligent decision where he walked out of Fog of War, or into Fog of War from the mid lane, and what that did is it forced Spooks and Swiper to back off sieging the top tier tower because they knew that Chippy's death timer was about to come back up and he had the TP, and they could be possibly looking at a 2v2 Azir Hecarim versus Nidalee Nautilus situation, and simply Rai just moving out of vision saved the tower and denied any sort of trade for the Chiefs for Tower for Dragon.
Well, it seems like the Sin with the lead is starting to clean up some of their map decisions as well. It's definitely the team that looks like the squad we saw have such a stellar Super Week and a run here to get themselves into the semi-final spot.
Probably has like 2.5k.
Yeah, he's real rich right now.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has more. That's 145 CS with just like a stinger in his sword shoes.
And he's still greedy. Gets the blue buff. Is like, you know what? I want to use this.
Oh, wow.
1,700.
Yeah, it's
has
still
spent some of it, but both mid laners actually pretty big banks to try and spend away.
Keeping each other there by wave clearing. It's funny because Rameister could disappear, Swiffer could disappear and look to threaten other lanes, but their relative strength isn't actually that high. They're just going to be crowd control bots with a bit of damage to boot. They need to go back and get their items.
Rameister's put the turret up, so maybe now is a good time, but he stays again. He's like, ooh, creep wave.
Can't let Swiffer get the 100 gold.
Absolutely not. Got to protect the tower. Got to get more CS. But does need to shop. Lashes 2 should be done if that's where he's going next, which I assume it is. And look at these two. Just farming up forever. 2k apiece. And Swiffer's even going to farm the final wave out. Right does go back, though, and spend his gold. And there's the Nash's finish.
Yeah, and that's a big purchase, working towards the Rylai's Crystal Scepter as well. Once he gets that one, tell you what, that's a scary bird, man.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, though, Chiefs deciding to pull the trigger on some sort of objective. It will be that bottom tier tower, but doesn't mean much in terms of snowballing that into other control points on the map since Dragon is down.
Corki has his package. You can see how fast he's moving on that minimap. Working top lane, he's actually intentionally sacking the turret, which means Swiper's response was to get the heck out of there. Smartly, I will say, but they do get a trade once more. So whilst Chiefs start being proactive, they're getting things done now.
Sin still
Sin
doing
is still
a great
answering,
job.
and
Yeah.
this is the mid-game Sin that we saw in the first two games.
Well, this is the thing. They should have initiative moving into this mid-game, so any trade that does happen feels like Sin is a little bit further ahead at this point. Enough to try and force something down. In fact, Rymeister makes a great rotation. Nash's 2 is ripping through the turret. Rymeister's going to get that and the Rift Turret fallback. Plus, I think Kindred almost stole a mark away on Chief's side of the jungle. Sin get a lot in that trade and come out nicely ahead.
It's a 3-sweep on objectives. Top
Yeah.
tower, bot tower, as well as the Rift Herald.
It's actually very big as well. And Chippy's getting the Rift Herald buff because they don't have an outer turret to take. Says to me that they want him to continue to duel against his opponent in lane, whether that be Swiper or they send someone else there, which I wouldn't advise because it's a Trinity Force Hecarim into a gym. Probably a no-no.
Probably not. Pacific continuing to display wave clear here. It does have a Ghost Blade ready. So tier stacking up. Cooldown boots also there. Varus does need those 2 items, but getting pretty close.
A lot of farm on Jhin.
Yeah, Raiders actually been CSing really nicely. Got that Zeal built up as well. You can see the Chiefs pings under that tower, but Sin want to try and defend it. And look for a fight. They do need to start doing something with their lead, I think is the other thing, because all well and good up until this point, 3 out of turrets down, but it's their next move that's probably going to really start tipping the scales. And the Chiefs, they don't stop doing stuff on the map. They almost never play passive, it feels like.
We're hitting the period in the game where Chiefs do start to bite back quite handily. Varus in particular has one of his 2 big items completed. No doubt will be working towards the line immune as soon as he can. And that will, to me, signal the point where sieging is a capability for Chiefs and where their potential for skirmishing and team fights actually goes up immensely.
They're all going for pretty much a late game build as well. Yes, Varus, is, like you said, has that 2-item power spike, but looking at the Roa, being picked up by Spooks, not completed yet, but has the Catalyst. So he's looking for a late game tanky Nidalee build. Likewise, you've got Jhin, who's going to excel in the late game.
Just a random tome as well.
I'm actually really surprised that he went Essence Reaver before going the
Think about it, Pastry Time.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Just hanging out. Got to study, you know. It's going to be a long game.
He's got his book. Yeah, he's
reading it,
scaling.
yeah.
He's got a book to read. So Ryze is such a good late game champion, right?
Always has one. Ready to go.
It's like such an awful joke, but
But it's true.
yes.
Dragon up in 25. Could be our next point of action, but both teams happy to play back a bit. Card reading
Deathfire touch.
the pointy
Varus.
end. Yeah.
Go yell at the graphics guy.
I've been lied to.
How dare you, Keystone Mastery Graphic? We trusted you.
We did. And look where that brought us. Well, confirmed for now. Swiffer starting to get real frustrating with that poke. As Tower on top does go down there to the Chiefs. Pretty brave to be there when Dragon's coming back up, but Sin looks like they're going to collect it. Kindred's already sated, so this Dragon should die real quickly.
Absolutely should. Sin, they are playing it slow. They're playing it calm. It almost feels like they are the Chiefs this time around. Doesn't mean that the Chiefs won't play like themselves either, so we're just kind of waiting for it to come to a head.
We're waiting for everyone to get their items. So the Chiefs obviously recognizing that there's no way that they can beat Sin in a full 5v5 right now. Saying, it's fine. Lay down the defensive vision, look for picks, lay down poke, wait for our big item power spikes, stall it out.
He even defends his ward, though. Again, very brave play on the All-Star, but Rogue just pulls him out with the Dark Passage. And Chippy's going back as well. Home Guard's actually up now, I think, past the 20-minute mark, so could see a big TP play here, and Rymeister's real strong. This is a good invade into the jungle from Sin.
Yeah, he's not far away from Israel's Crystal Scepter, but he's got the most important aspects of it. His Giant's Belt and his needlessly large rod. He's definitely putting down the hurt. I guess to me the question is, with no Dragon available, no outer turrets available, how do they actually start to break their way into the poke comp?
It's moving into the jungle and primarily a denial of vision.
Not being allowed to, that's the scary part, right?
Yeah, and that's what Chiefs are doing so well.
They're standing their ground.
Speaking of, Rymeister puts the turret up again. Going to have a very short little mid lane for a bit. What's that right again? Just wave clearing up.
Just an overgrown rot portal.
Uh-oh. Curtain call pop. Good cleanse. Gets all the way out of the range of the ulti. And Raider's like, all right, one shot's enough. Trying to walk back in the mid lane. Right, has to stay to try and wave clear here. It's a good little bit of push pressure from the Chiefs.
Yeah, and Swiffer has his ultimate with no cleanse available on Rymeister. So there's now actual kill pressure in this middle lane, which draws attention of more members of Sin.
Oh, here comes the TP flank.
I like this a lot from Chippies. Can they find the fight they want? Chippy's looking for it.
And
He's
bottom tower.
All right. So, you know,
Bam!
not super effective use, but it'll do. Chippy's eating the tower aggro too. Not sure that was part of the plan. But hey, they'll get a turret. Sin's starting to make some pressure, but Rye caught there by Swiffer and Spooks, and that's an easy kill for the poke champs.
And once
There's that
again,
kill
no
pressure.
cleanse. Definitely Varus pops down the ultimate. They get the kill, and here's Chiefs now proactively trying to make a trade. Sin, way too difficult to defend this.
I mean, that said, it's still kind of like you said, Sin or hold
good
on.
hook.
Rogue wants it, plays him back in, but the damage is down. Rogue's absolutely dead as Juice. Can't pop the ulti in time to save his teammate. Deptar Dragon, a CC Cardra as well as Swiffer is able to take him out. Swiper does not land the follow-up hook, but Curtain calls back. There's one, there's two. And he's going to wait. There's the third. He wants Cardra. But he's not going to fire the last bullet. Chiefs Inseg will take a turret, and all of a sudden, Gold leads straight back to them.
But what I was just about to say is that Sin actually came out on top in that trade simply because they got a tier 2 tower as well as some
Oh, the
picks.
hook.
But,
Cardra
oh
hooked
my-
again. It just doesn't stop for the Chiefs.
but these continuous picks are putting Chiefs so far ahead as Chippy's now marching in.
Each in trouble,
Chippies.
but Chippies goes very deep for it. Ulti up from Ryan. He's going to kick Chiefs out of his base. Chippies did fall on the other end,
Good
and
hook.
Swiffer gets hooked up again.
He's got all four
Flay
shots.
is there, but it's just too
No,
much.
he's
got
Great
shots.
ulti there from Swiffer onto poor Rymeister, and no cleanse is starting to cost him. It's just so many picks.
The slow battle from the Chiefs. Swiper's dead now
Still
as well.
not dead. Taking the tower. Not too sure why, but the Chiefs, I think, finally have to back off as we've had kind of 4 for 3 over the various minutes. The Chiefs, I think they got greedy to break that tower.
This
but
is
do not do it.
like a massacre, and somehow the Chiefs like crawled out of this with a gold lead. Like that's what happened.
Yeah, they just found pick after pick. Right now, it's a Varus, Nidalee, Jhin composition with a Nautilus to lock them down and an Alistar to be the front line for them. They're effectively running the Jhin Xerath composition that we've actually seen in the EU LCS, where you can just throw the ultimates at the same time. But it's a Varus with a Q instead.
That was getting very 2013 World Finals for a second there. Just picks and then take the inhibitor down mid. They could see it coming. I couldn't quite finish it off there.
Azir too strong.
So bloody.
Certainly is. And all of a sudden, yeah, 16 kills. Map starts to get a little bit louder as Radiant returns with a huge bevy of gold. We're going to have some very accelerated champions across the rift for these sides. And we drag them back in a minute 50. Possible point of contention there, but we're starting to get to Baron territory. 24 minutes through now. Spawns at 20. Teams generally don't want to go for a quick one unless they're super far ahead or it's very comp specific. But you have to start thinking 25 to 30 minutes. You got to consider a big purple worm so valuable towards the late stages of the mid game.
Yeah, Chippy's actually sitting in that bottom lane also. No teleports available for each respective top laner. To me, is actually a big win for Sin because they're taking away a big part of the front line that the Chiefs have, which means they could potentially go in onto the back of a Thresh. But if it takes too long, then they will bleed out objectives. They will lose their health bars. It's not safe.
And this is an interesting counter push here from Sin. They're actually trying to split as the Chiefs group in and try and take this tier 2. They will get it, and the poke is very deadly. Cardred actually did get snared. Eats the first bullet of the ulti, gets out of the way though, but Rogue has to put the box down. Very nice usage of that choke point for the Chiefs. Getting scarily close to finding themselves another pick.
Absolutely are, and this is a dangerous situation where Sin have to be very careful with their execution because sending 3 people top, you're better off sending nobody top and trying to pressure the mid lane if you're going to trade.
And a single mistake on either of these two compositions is so punishable. Again, double 80 carry comp with the Nidalee for the Primal Surge, attack speed steroid. Likewise on the other side, Kindred, Corki, and Azir. Like one mistake, your entire base is gone.
And so Sin actually want the dragon. They've sent Chippy's top lane. They've got 2 of them already. If there's anything that they will feel content by trying to take, it would be that dragon. My only quarrel is that they've gone to the package not timed with the dragon, which is very obviously their avenue of attack.
Well, Chippy's he's going to go back actually. Could make another teleport play.
He's sitting there waiting for it.
Dragon fight. This is a pretty good setup here for Sin. They're going to start it. Damage is there, but good lockdown on the Cardred. They're going to go in for it again. Ulti out from Radiant, going to poke them down. Cardred actually eats too many bullets. And actually Swiffer stole the dragon, but now Chippy's going to try and make it happen with the TP play, but the Chiefs are going to fall back. Chippy's locked up on the front line. Massive Varus ulti going to start to spread as it does lock down Juves. No kills yet for the Chiefs though, but so much poke.
That spear.
Yeah, the damage that comes out of the Chiefs, the lockdown out of Jhin is setting them up. Like, Rymeister might be dead.
Might need a spear. Has to use the ulti.
He has to dodge this.
Tries to disengage. Swiffer here again. Flashes in for it. Radiant even fishing with a W.
From 2 screens away, Chiefs are poking Sin and forcing them into their base. The dragon wasn't even theirs, and Chiefs, they've got health bars. They can go to Baron.
The amount of line damage is massive on this team, but like you said, Juice is still up.
The call has been made. It's Baron. That's what they want. The Chiefs going to very aggressively start this. Juice eats a bit of poke there. Nidalee throwing in there as well.
Level 13 to level 14 smite. Juves has the weaker smite if it comes to contest.
Oh, Ejim tries to CC him up. They're going to try and finish it off, but Spooks hasn't quite got it yet. Chippy's is in the backside, and Cardred takes out Swiffer. Baron does go over to the Chief, but Sinner straight in there looking for a fight. Radiant going to blow up. Chippy's over. Radiant does die on the other side. Spooks, though, going to get chased down by Rymeister. Baron fight disastrous there for Sin. Sorry, for Chiefs, as Sin take it 3-1.
They take out the 3 carries of the Chiefs with only Swiper and Ejim remaining. But the Baron buff is Chiefs, and they might be able to hold off the onslaught that should come out from Sin. I don't know if they can go any further here. Still, we're seeing successful team fights that can go to Sin.
And again, all it takes is one botched fight And the game turns very quickly. Rymeister mid lane just applying pressure. He's
Yeah,
threatening
he's got
this
time. He
inhibitor
has a lot
very
of time.
aggressively. It's dead, I think. There's no answer here yet for Egypt. Rymeister aggressively using the W to take it out. He is going to break it. Now he's going to keep moving for it. Pops the ulti down. Surfs out to safety. Very stylish from the Sin mid laner.
And just frankly, a positional error from the Chiefs not prioritizing the correct tower. The pings went down on mid lane. It's like, hey guys, why are we defending the second tier top tower when our inhibitor tower is falling?
They could have just sent one of them there to have a Baron buff on it as well, right? Like, plain and simple as replay.
So biggest thing to watch here is simply how Sin split this fight apart and how their damage resources are in multiple places. Rymeister being able to fight on the back half of the Baron Pit and then get involved over the Baron Pit with the Sand Soldiers, pretty much fought in 2 different locations and ran through that fight.
Well, still have some Baron left, so grouped up. Going to try and shove out mid. See what they can get done. Chippy's bottom side with no TP. Carded really has to start dodging some of these skill shots. Eats more bullets. Rymeister now going to have a couple. Ooh, crit. Not doing too much damage, actually.
Can they get
Infinity
it?
Edge not there yet for Jin.
It's funny because like Cardred is the focus of all of the poke,
It's dead.
but Juves is actually the one that we need to look towards here for Sin. He needs to get the Lamb's Respite down at the right time so that they can effectively fight.
Juves hits a hook. Damage there. There's a Lamb's Respite, but he's almost chunked out completely to death. Swiper gonna have to flash out of the way though as Chippy's looking for the ulti. Goes straight in for the backlines. And Juves now forced to dance out of the way. Chippy's still tanking in the front side. A lot of cooldowns burnt. Cardra barely escapes there. And Rymeister tries to keep them out, but the Chiefs will not be stopped.
Don't know if there is any stopping this inhibitor going down. Another hook's on.
Onto Ejim though. He's relatively tanky despite the lack of ulti. Chiefs are going to take that inhibitor. Minions with the Baron buff do just enough work for it. And it feels like we got awfully close to breaking mid for Sin, but it is Chiefs that do get the first inhib.
But how disorienting. We left and it was, okay, Sin, you know, you won the Baron fight. You didn't get the Baron, but you took 2 towers. Suddenly we come back and Chiefs are marching it straight up Sin's barrel.
Yeah, that's honestly, this is a frustrating composition to play against. If you listen. Like Varus, the range that he has on that poke is obnoxious, but the follow-up from Jin is the scary part because it's essentially an instant lockdown that gives room for Nautilus to hit the hook or for Nidalee to hit the spear. They can just play a patience game. Varus, I mean, it's like a 4-second cooldown on that Q. 1 will hit, they're locked down, and that's effectively like the health bar of a carry gone.
And the damage that these 280 carries are starting to do. Radiant finished that IE. Swiffer, with a red potion nonetheless, has finished the Maw of Malmortius. Now, even Spooks, who's got his death cap now and 3 items on Swiper as far as tank items go. Chiefs comp well and truly arrived in. Not that Sin don't do enough, but the poke is something they have to start looking to overcome.
It really reminds me of comps where Nocturne was big priority. When Nidalee was mid lane and you would hit the spear and then Nocturne would immediately ult and delete someone, it's the same type of concept.
Just poke him down, and it's working so far for the Chiefs. Again, gold very even.
It's like a backline assassination comp.
It's pretty gross.
Backline distance assassination comp. I just want to call it the sniper comp.
The sniper comp? Yeah, I mean, that's very fitting. No Caitlyn, but Jin will do the job there. As Juves does dash out of the way.
It's almost like aptly named by the Keystone Mastery, this team composition. They are essentially the Deathfire touch.
Yeah?
Yep.
Like, everyone touches at the same time someone dies.
Don't want to eat any of this damage. But Sin, this is a very dangerous spot to be defending because you have to dodge an awful lot of skill shots, and they have a lot of
Fish in a
them.
barrel.
And there's Juice. Eats the first spear, has to back.
Swiper meanwhile in the top lane.
Yeah, Chippy's will answer Swiper, but at the moment it feels like Chippy's wants to answer bottom.
Yeah.
Because he's sitting in base.
He's got plenty of flanking wards. He could very easily get behind them either through the lane, and that's where he
Yeah,
goes.
here they go straight through the back. Now Chiefs have to bail. They're going to see Chippy's, but is it too late? He looks for Swiffer, but a good ult flash is maybe going to get him out to safety.
He's
Nautilus
too far.
going to join down here as well, but the team cannot join. Ejim ties up the front line of Sin, try and dive back through. The back line is doing damage. Ejim and Swiper getting a little bit lower, but Ejim with the ulti is good enough as Rymeister does shut them out with the ulti.
Oh my god.
Surfs back in, pops the zonies, but that might be a mistake. He's going to get locked up, and Radiant blows him up in the front line. Sin pick a desperate fight and lose a member.
But what a brilliant answer to an Azir. Knowing that this pick would be contested, having a sniper comp like this set up to outrange that champion and just punish.
Yeah, Azir, very long-range champion, but not as long as a Varus and a Jin. As the Chiefs are looking menacing right now on their second inhibitor.
Oh my god, Cardred. That damage might have just killed him as he does QSS off the debuff of Jin, I believe. The Juves are going to get caught out. Lamb's Respite not there. He's going to go down to Radiant. Is this inhib's going to get broken as well? Topside pressure also mounting. Chiefs, they can taste They're meeting with Legacy in the final.
This poke is obnoxious. The Varasolt's on.
Oh, Cartridge is blown to pieces. Radier takes him out. These turrets are going to start falling. The Chiefs are going to move in for the kill. Chippy's and Rogue only up for now. This tower's going to get melted, though, and it seems like they are going to claim the Nexus. Egypt going to move in to try and get a few more kills to pad the stats. Rhymer, they're going to surf in the Chiefs. They want to zerk down the Nexus. Radier needs to get in there, but he's taking too much damage. They need to zone for a little bit longer. The Nexus does go down to the Chiefs. They'll clean sweeps in and look to face Legacy.
Chiefs Esports Club are looking ridiculous right now. They execute on not one team composition, but many, and they do it very elegantly.
Just, it was destiny that they would meet Legacy in the finals again. Sin should be very proud for how they played this series. Like we said, the 3-0 does not really explain everything that happened here. It was not a whitewash, but like you said, Chiefs executed 3 multiple compositions beautifully. Their macro game was awesome. Their team fighting looks in par, and this should make an explosive finals across from Legacy.
Well, players are going to shake hands and exchange a few hugs. Very well played by both sides, but that does, of course, determine our final. And we heard it from Carbon, we've heard it on the desk. It just does feel like destiny.
It almost does, doesn't it? Chiefs versus Legacy one more time. Couldn't have scripted it better.
Well, we didn't. That's just the matchup we got. Simply just amazing to watch the teams play. But the Chiefs today, they will celebrate their semi-final victory as we toss back to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Patriot Time. Unfortunately, the Cinderella story does end there, but the Chiefs once again book their date with Destiny against Legacy in the OPL Split 1 final. That will be on April 5th. But I want to focus on Sin for a little bit, because this is a team, everyone was saying it, like, Sin were like, we are a team that will step up. Everyone was like Carbon said they didn't get better over the off split. Ejim said irrelevant for 4th place. They finished up 3rd, by the way, but they were talking about Sin. There are just so many people that poked at this team.
Yeah.
And they have proven that, you know what, not only are they within the top 4, I completely agree with the sentiment that even though that was a 3-0, that was a much closer game when you go back and watch them what you otherwise would have thought.
Yeah, and you look at the players that were stepping up here for Sin at the same time, and Rogue stands out like a sore thumb. This guy on the Thresh in the last 2 games was landing some of the most amazing hooks. This guy was doing so much work for his team, and I cannot wait to watch Sin the next split of the OPL, because I have a feeling they're going to go a whole lot further.
For me, it was the first 2 games. Sin did a really good job of fighting back from behind. They constantly took the game to the Chiefs, kept trying to claw back those advantages, played it really well. 3rd game, they showed they can clean up that early game, had a nice advantage for themselves, but at the end of the day, Chiefs executed the games much better.
Yeah, they certainly did. But I also want to take a look over the other side of the rift, because the Chiefs, ever since they've got Swiffer back on the team, returned to form. Looking at 2 members in particular, Brandon Swiper Holland, Samuel Spooks Broadley, they are night and day. Early season versus late season.
Oh,
what
yeah.
a turnaround.
Just completely ridiculous. And I mean, you can talk about, you know, Swiffer returning to the team all you want, but today was based on Swiper and Spooks just doing ridiculous things. Spooks was playing like he had something to prove today. It was ridiculous.
Certainly did. Well, we are actually going to hear from the Chiefs jungler, Victorious Spooks. He's over by our side with Pastry Time.
Thank you very much. And yes, I am here with Spooks. A very well-played series there for the Chiefs. You'll book another date with Destiny there for Legacy in the finals. How do you feel about the series overall, though? So you obviously had a great game. Lots of praise for you from the analyst desk there. But how are you feeling coming off the Rift?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty happy with like individual performance, but as a team, we didn't feel like we played that well. We made a few macro errors, I would say. But I think Radier actually really took the reins in the shot calling in the last game especially. And he made sure we didn't get the Hecarim flank. And yeah, we're really happy that we closed out the 3-0.
Awesome. And again, definitely a strong sweep there. Good play overall from the team. I guess, what are the things you may be looking to fix? You mentioned a few things there, but maybe give a percentage of how well you think the team played today. Because we've seen you guys at your peak. You're amazing. You know, 2-time OPL champion. How would you say you played today overall? Because Sin definitely gave you a run for their money as well.
Yeah, Sin definitely, like, they didn't just let us walk over them. They actually looked to make plays, which is credit to them. I think we played to I'd give it 80 to 90%. It was just like a few downfalls, obviously. And I actually made a few overzealous plays, getting too hyphy. But overly happy with our performance still.
Well, that's interesting because we had a lot of praise for you on the desk, and both on the caster desk and the analyst desk. I think you had an excellent series so far. So how are you feeling overall about your performance? Maybe what are some of the things you maybe didn't do or you shouldn't have done that you did, Spooks? Because I know when you get fired up, you can get a little too aggressive.
Yeah. Actually, Radio was talking to me after the second game. He was like, "Stop trying to outplay Jews because there's a bit of rivalry there." And every time I landed a spear on him, even if it was in their jungle, I just wanted to jump on him. And I got caught out twice in the first couple of games, being a bit too hyphy. But once Radio settled me down, I was all G.
All right, so let's talk about your jungle picks, of course. You've been a big proponent of the Nidalee, the Kindred. Awesome games. You only had to pull out those 2 junglers today. How are you feeling about the current state of the junglers? And these are obviously 2 very strong junglers. You're comfortable on them. Just what do you think about the general jungle meta?
Yeah, I think Kindred and Nidalee especially on 6.5 is like, they're both just disgusting. There's like, those 2 are typically, Nidalee's actually permabanned in most other regions. I'm surprised she gets through a lot of OCE drafts. I was watching the Doubles Legacy game and she got through almost every draft. I was like, what the heck? And Kindred is like insane with Azir. You have the wall ulti combo, and she's just really strong duelist, insane ganks. And yeah, I love playing the carry junglers and getting big swips on the tanks. That's what I play for.
Well, I'm not sure Swiper likes that too much, but certainly it seems like the tag team is working out. Final question for you, Spooks. How are you feeling moving in? Again, a good performance here, about 80-90%. That's not too bad for a 3-0 versus Sin. But Legacy, your opponents once again in a grand final. This time they're coming in as the #1 seed from the regular season. How are you feeling about that series? And how well do you think the Chiefs have to play? Are we going to get 110, 120? How are you guys feeling in the upcoming grand final?
Yeah, I think we definitely have to play 100% to beat Legacy. I feel even if we play 80%, they'll probably just punish our mistakes. They're a very punishing team just in general. If you make mistakes, they'll capitalize well. So if we just play like a clean macro game, which I wouldn't say we did perfectly today, if we do play a clean macro game, we should be fine. So yeah, hopefully we can bring the 100% next week.
Well, excellent performance today regardless, and of course, good luck in the grand final. That is all for us on Spookster. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been wonderful to have you, and of course, congratulations on your semi-win. We'll see you in the finals in next week, though, but for now, let's toss it back to Spawn and the analyst desk.
Thank you so much. And he's actually simmered down quite a fair bit. I saw him after the game. He was a little bit more fired up. But I want to go back to, he mentioned their draft a couple of times, and this is an area I want to hit because they got Sivir, Kindred, Azir. Then they had to take away components of that. They had a very nice drafting game too. Third game, they had the sniper composition, as Frostgrim was calling it. 3 very good drafts. This is something that we've maybe been critical of other teams in the OPL, but Chiefs especially seem to have a very good grasp on the current meta.
Yeah, and it seemed like Sin were adapting without actually necessarily knowing what Chiefs were going to be picking in game #1, which honestly isn't something that you'd expect from a team moving into a semi-final like this. I'm going to call them out right here because the Azir Sivir Kindred combination was despicable, and then they took little parts out of it. Game #2, a little bit closer there from Sin, and I feel like if this series had have just kept going, Sin would have worked out their draft phase and really got it together. But as far as drafting is concerned, Chiefs just look ahead of the curve.
I agree with the fact that Sin were able to pick away small pieces of the team comp from game #1, but game 3 was really what sold it for me because Chiefs just went 360, almost 180, not 360.
Went 360 and walked back away.
That's too far. Yeah. they really were able to show that they could just completely go away whatever they were picking up in game 1 and game 2 and throw out a whole new team composition, and they played it brilliantly. They executed it really well.
Yeah, they certainly did. However, guys, let's take a look at the week's results so far. Last night, it was Legacy taking the 3-1 over the Direwolves. And the Chiefs tonight were able to 3-0 Sin Gaming. 2 very, in the end, one-sided games as we move towards the grand final next week. The 5th of April, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It will be the #1 seed Legacy against the only team they've dropped a game against, the old split. It is going to be the Chiefs. As Pastry Time said, no, I think it was Rusty. Couldn't have scripted it better, but guys, that is where we're going to leave you tonight. It is going to be Legacy versus Chiefs next week, but on behalf of myself, the analyst desk, these guys, the casters, and the entire production crew, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week for the grand final.